Recording. It's recording now.
Okay. And of all the commissioners, I don't see Teresa, but that could be her choice, just so. But she could.
I am here. I am
Okay,
here.
great. Wait, some people had a hard time, Teresa, being omitted.
okay.
Admitted. Thank you. I'll get that word right. Okay, welcome everybody to the July 14th Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. As you know, I'll read our statement. At the beginning of each Park and Recreation Commission meeting, there is an opportunity for public comment related to any park or recreation topic. These comments should address a topic not included on the agenda or those items on the agenda that do not have public comment included as part of the agenda item. You will have a maximum of 2 minutes to share your comments. If you do not have the opportunity to speak during the allotted time, please submit your comments in writing to the Park and Recreation Commission. And here's our email: parkandrecommission@brooklinema.gov. Thank you. Okay. All right. And going back to our first. So I hope everybody's had a time to review the minutes and they were corrected, and we got a second copy, and I hope you've had a chance to look at those. So if no one has something to discuss or another correction, do I hear a motion to accept the meeting minutes from
Moved.
June? So Debbie, was that you? No, I couldn't hear.
No, it was Carol.
Oh, Carol. Okay, thank you, Carol. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I think that was Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, and I'm gonna call you as I see you on my screen. Jane,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, so the minutes are approved. Do we have public comment on matters not included on the agenda?
So we have 9 individuals joining us tonight from the public. If anybody in the waiting or anybody in the room would like to make a public comment, please do your raise hand feature and we can unmute you.
Okay.
I'm not seeing any.
I don't see any either, so we'll go to the next one. So we're on to the 6:15 item, which is presentation commission questions, discussion of the fiscal year 2028 capital improvement plan, which we call the CIP for Parks and Open Space Division. And this is going to be Millie.
Correct. So I'm gonna share my screen. Just give me a second. Okay, you all can see my screen, correct?
Yep. Yeah, we can.
Amazing. So good evening, everyone. I'm Millie Pradhan, Director of Parks and Open Space. Very excited to walk you all through our draft capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2028 through 2033. So today is the draft presentation, and I just want to note that the full public hearing and vote from the Commission will take place during our August Park and Recreation meeting on August 11th. And also disclaimer that I have close to 45 slides, so it's going to be fairly long, so please bear with me. So in terms of agenda, first, we have divided the presentation into 2 parts. First, we're going to talk about what are the different capital project categories that we typically look at when considering for our CIP plan for the next 5 years, and what does that process looks like. And we will take a moment to also review the parks capital improvement projects that are currently underway. Those are projects typically from FY 26, 27 is just starting, but 26 and prior. And we'll pause there for a little bit of a questions and discussions and see if you have anything you'd like to talk about around our projects that are undergoing or any of the process. Then we'll dive into the presentation of proposed parks and school grounds capital improvement projects, and then at the end, pause for questions and discussions as well. So when we talk about our capital improvement, capital project categories, there are typically multiple categories the projects are considered under. A primary type of category that you all see in our CIP is construction, reconstruction or renovation or replacement of a public facility or building. So this typically, includes a lot of our park improvement projects, and sometimes it also includes renovation of grounds for some of the public buildings. So, any big parks and outdoor spaces falls in this category. There are also times when we go through feasibility studies or design studies. This typically happens when we are working to determine the exact scope of the project, and the feasibility study helps to narrow the scope down and also help understand what the price is going to be, cost is going to be. So that helps us plan in the future for the full CIP of some projects. And then typically capital equipment items such as our trucks or machineries or anything items big items that helps us with our operations, sometimes falls under capital planning as well. And then there are long range development plans, for instance, master plans where, for a collective number of parks or one particular park where we have to where there's a lot of things going on and we have to, break the projects down into multiple years. That usually falls under the capital project categories as well. And finally, there could be smaller studies or projects that cost at least $25,000, where it could really fall under this category as well. And that one is very similar to feasibility, but it's not full-blown CIP, but almost sort of a mini CIP project. And something we get asked a lot as well is, what is our capital planning process? How do we determine that?
Millie,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I
Yeah.
just received a text. It's from Christine Knopf, whose hand is raised, who is trying to speak during public comment, but couldn't raise her hand and couldn't get her camera on, so she didn't get to speak. I'm not sure if this is the right time for us to take the comment. I don't know what the comment is, but if it's okay for us to take that and then move on. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to.
No problem.
She's a fellow town meeting member, so she texted me. So that's why
see.
I know
Clara,
that.
is that okay if I?
Clara, what do you?
If Christine doesn't, she'll have 2 minutes and we're not,
Right.
and she'll let us know, but we're not going to discuss it, correct? We just listen to her 2-minute comment and then we can go back to it later if it need be.
Correct. Yeah. I think that I don't even know what she's commenting on, but I think she knows that she only has 2 minutes type of thing. So, yeah.
So I guess we're early enough in the presentation. So
Sorry.
if you will make Christine.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yes.
And
Christine, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
And Christine, please keep it to 2 minutes. I'm going to time you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I apologize, but I've been on here for a long time waiting to get in and I couldn't get in and didn't think I could raise my hand unless, whatever. Okay, just 2 quick things. One is my concern about the parking at Sewell Park. There is absolutely not one parking space for anybody to come in any time of late morning, midday. So I don't know who is parking there. I don't know who's taking up the slots. I know there's a lot of parking needed for the splash pad. And the other thing are the 4 slots that are over there for the EV, for the electric charging for the cars. There's never a car in there. I walk by there and go by there almost every single day. So I was wondering, is it a possibility to at least free up 2 of those slots to get more parking for people coming to the park? And I'm not sure if the people who work at Baldwin School are parking down at that lot. I know on any given day up at the Baldwin School, there's anywhere from 15 to 18 cars parked, because I count them. So that's just the one thing I mentioned about that. The second thing I'm really quite passionate about is getting the bench replaced at Sewell. I know several people have reached out to try to get that done. It was about a 6-foot long bench. I understand it got knocked over in the winter when a car backed into it. It's a place where the grandparents sit to watch the kids. It's a place where the kids might sit to tie their shoes. That field is in constant use, as you know, with soccer and everything else going on, and lacrosse and kids' games. But that seat is still not there. And I used to sit on it all the time with my dog. So everyone in the neighborhood says, "Where's the bench? Where's the bench?" So it's been gone for about 6 months, and it was widely used, and it had been there for years. That's it.
Christine, thank you so much for making us aware of the bench. Millie, how will you handle that?
I will look into that, Clara. That bench has been on our radar, and we don't have the exact same bench right now, and we might have been like looking to order that, but given that it is so popular and widely used, we'll just like go and install what we have in our storage right now, so that way at least like people can use it.
Okay,
yeah.
it was a very long bench, and the thing
Yeah.
that happens now are the people who are coming to observe the games.
Mhm.
They're sitting up on the brick wall at the end, and the sun's right
Okay.
in their eyes. You can't even see the field
Yeah.
because they're facing west.
Thank
All right.
you,
Thank
Christine.
you.
Thank
And
you,
then
Christine.
Appreciate.
Millie,
Thank you. Thanks for letting me talk.
you'll have someone look into
Yeah.
talk to transportation about EV.
Yes,
Thank-
I'll have conversation on that. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. You kept your comments very short. Thank you very much. Millie, so see no one else with raised hands, and no one else has texted or emailed anyone. We will continue.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Sounds
That's
good.
good for you, Jane. Okay.
Okay. So going back to our capital planning process, there are multiple things that we take into account on why a project would be in a CIP or CIP planning process. So there are few items, like number one being safety, accessibility, based on the various assessments of the existing site, and based on how much time and resources that we have been putting into maintenance. Then we also look into the full capital improvement plan development based on all of that. And a huge factor of like what we do as part of our planning process is the preliminary cost estimates. So I'll go into detail for all of these. So first off, safety accessibility, we, as you all know, we take safety very seriously in our parks and open spaces and everything we do here in our division and also within DPW. So safety is always number one for us, especially, with our play equipment. It's important that everyone is enjoying our parks and open spaces, the playgrounds, while being safe. So in order to ensure the safety, we get third-party certified playground safety inspectors, or in short, CPSI, to do assessment of play equipment every other year. So all our playground areas are divided into half, and they do the assessments of the equipment like every other year. And in addition to that, our landscape architects on staff, and even beyond our landscape architects, like we take time to do assessment of the play equipment. And in addition to that, we get feedback all the time from residents and schools to make us aware of some of the potential issues that comes up. So based on that, assessment, we create a list for maintenance of these play equipments and cost estimates on what needs to be done. Is it just a replacement of a nut, or is it like a replacement of the full swing or the full slide? So we make assessment on that. And our goal with, keeping up with the maintenance and assessment is to ensure that we get the longest lifespan out of our playgrounds and play equipments. And typically, because of this process, some of that is also tied to the maintenance, as I just spoke, helps us extend the lifespan of any play equipment or our parks and open spaces anywhere up to 20 years. So, which is like quite a lot. And we're really fortunate that that maintenance capital is built into our CIP plan. So based on, so there's, like, as I mentioned, ongoing assessment and maintenance that we work on. But as we're thinking about how we decide what parks to go on the CIP, so we're looking at, okay, when, we evaluate like all the current conditions, like, are there any accessibility issues? There is the playground, like play equipment, like extremely old, like for instance, have we been spending money over the 10 years, right, our capital over the last 10 years to maintain that, or is there like really visible rust and issues that we continuously see? And we also take a look at like date of last renovation. And that's usually not the only factor, like just because something was renovated 10, 20 years before, like that doesn't mean it's automatically in the CIP. There has to be some concrete visible issues or ongoing recurring problems that we see that we need to be addressed. And then, kind of tying into that, like how old are the site features? Are they nearing towards the end of the life? If there's a wood boardwalk, like let's say similar to what we had in Hallspawn, is it completely rotting that it becomes a safety issue? So we look at all of these factors. So once we look at all of these factors, then we develop a preliminary cost estimate, because that preliminary cost estimate is extremely crucial for us to put a number in our big CIP plan and determine like how much does a project cost. And these estimates are typically, based on site visits, the CPSI reports, input from any of the user groups, and what are some of the future goals are. And these estimates are also revised every year to account for some of the current bidding prices that we're seeing and cost of inflation. And we, something that we've been intentionally trying to do this year is to review the feasibility of integrating town schools around open space and recreation plan, climate resiliency plan, and also urban forestry master plan. So there are a couple of factors we're looking into that. So, as I mentioned, the cost estimate is super critical for us to get to the number. And, there are a couple of things that we usually look into. So site preparation, demolition, and earthworks is something that we have to look closely. And that includes, essentially removing the existing features, putting erosion controls in place, putting tree protection in place, and essentially preparing the site for proposed construction, right? And then we look at, okay, does this location need retaining walls or fencing or railings? Because these are like some costly items that we need to account into our estimates. And site furnishings, including benches, picnic tables, trash and recycling, are typically always part of like every estimate. And then we look into paving and surfacing. So based on any particular site, like we make an assessment of how much area, square footage of paving is there right now. And, we tentatively use that number to come up with a pricing. Then site utilities is a big number where we have to deal with site drainage and any of the pipes and structures, drain structures, catch basins, and any erosion control that we have to put in place, and water and storm utility lines. And we also see like if this location, a current location, has splash pads. So if some place has a splash pad, then, you know, most likely the community is going to want a splash pad back there. So we account for the cost of that. Then comes play equipment and sports field, determining if, you know, if a certain park that's on the CIP has play equipment or not, or if it has a sports field or not, because that, again, like determines a different price as well. And something, again, like that is included in all of our CIP projects for park spaces is pruning and planting, where we look at pruning existing trees and shrubs or its removals and adding new trees, the cost for loam and seed for the lawns and so forth. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, just something that we're consciously trying to do in all our estimates this year is integrating the different goals of, you know, OSRP, GARP, and Urban Forestry Plan, and even select board's goals related to park and open space. So we are, you know, looking at like which of these goals can be hit for different parks, and you know, what does that mean for the cost? So as I mentioned, you know, the next steps for our CIP is we will be advertising prior to the public hearing for next month. And, you know, between now and then, if there is any public input, we will continue to gather that. And we are also coordinating and collaborating with sustainability and natural resources team to get their feedback on our CIP projects and, you know, the checklist of which of the goals can we meet and which could be add alternate goals versus this is a, you know, must have versus nice to have goals. So we're going to be continuing that process over the next month. And as I mentioned earlier, final presentation and vote from the Park and Rec Commission will be on August 11th. And we were hoping that once all of that is decided, you know, we have the vote from the commission, we will be then working with Melissa Goff from, you know, the town administrator's office to kind of coordinate the park CIP plan with the larger goals of the town and where all the budget falls. So we'll be working closely with them through early fall. And then based on that, the capital improvement projects will be placed on the FY28 CIP for Parks and Open Space Division, which will ultimately be voted by town meeting in May 2027. So, you know, it's always like funny to think about, like we're in 2026, we're beginning a new fiscal year of FY27, and we're talking about 2028 fiscal year already. So it's a long process. So here, I'm going to just give you a super brief overview of our full 5-year CIP projects. And, you know, we also have future years. So really it's 6 years. And, you know, I'm not going to go through all of that in detail right now because there will be time later on in the presentation to talk through, and I'll be focusing mostly on 2028. So as we're looking at all these like different projects, like we're, you know, trying our best to, you know, time, you know, the different design dollars versus the construction dollars, and you know, what other projects are ongoing, what is the capacity, working capacity of our staff, and you know, some of these projects we're also timing with the Community Preservation Act grants. And something that we're actively trying to do right now is that beyond CIP and CPA, are there any other grants that we can tap into? So we're looking at multiple things at the same time. So before I pause for questions, I just want to talk through what this capital improvement plan does for our, you know, our division and our town. And very excited
Millie,
to share.
Can you go back to the back slide? Because I just have a question.
Yeah.
Are the stars representing the projects that are in process?
Yes.
And
yeah,
what?
The stars represent the projects in FY28.
Oh, FY28,
Yeah.
but they're also in FY20s.
They're also in some of the projects are every year, like recurring, like for instance, the Big Belly and Comfort Stations, they're recurring projects.
There's
but
no
I
money in
just-
the comfort station.
For 28.
line, 28.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right. I was mistaking that for 27. But parks and playgrounds rehab, and town school ground rehab and the trees, those are recurring items.
So Millie, along that line, are these all the projects?
Yes, so this is like the full, gamut of projects for the next 6 years. And you can also see for reference what was approved, what we received for FY27.
So, okay.
Yes,
The
so
seemed-
again,
the
I'll-
stars are for 28. I got confused because the
stars are
stars
for
look like they were for
28.
27.
It-
Yeah.
But they're for 28. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
seems-
so is there gonna be money put in the comfort station line then for 28?
Not for 28, but for, let's
You have a
see, for
star
next
there.
year. Yeah, no, the star was a mistake on my end, Clara.
Okay.
Sorry, Carol. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and like we'll spend a little bit time talking about the FY20 projects later
So
on.
some projects that were in last year's that were approved don't seem to be showing up here, and that's what I'm questioning. I'm gonna just say, because it's in my neighborhood, Baldwin School Playground.
Baldwin was not approved last year, Jane. It was not in our CIP last year.
It was for 2030. We can talk about it, maybe.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the schools, this is only showing the parks projects, like school
Well-
comes in later. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's considered it's really a playground, but it's considered, yeah, okay.
Technically a playground, you're right,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
because
okay.
like we refer that to.
It also is
as
going through a
well.
naming change, so that's another thing. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
all right, got it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's why it's
yeah.
not on this, and that's why Driscoll's not on this list?
Yes, exactly. Well,
Yeah, Driscoll, I don't mean Driscoll, I mean
was-
Lincoln. mean,
Yes,
the
yeah,
old Lincoln.
school is separate.
Oh,
Yeah,
the new
yeah.
Lincoln, whatever we're calling it. Okay, all right, that's helpful, thank you.
Milate, sorry, on that slide, it just, there's a line that just says parks and playground rehab, but
Yeah.
doesn't mention, is that just sort of upkeep of not a
Yeah,
specific?
that's
Okay.
right. That's right.
Okay.
And so that's the amount each year, because that is every year that you have to have,
Every
that,
year.
right? So that's the
Yeah,
amount each year.
yeah,
Okay, thank you
yeah.
for that. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, sounds good. So just want to talk through some of the ongoing capital improvement projects and some that have been completed. So I'm very excited to share that Amory Playground is complete and is currently open to the members of public, and we will be doing a small opening celebration for Halls Pond Boardwalk tomorrow in collaboration with Friends of Halls Pond. So everyone is invited to that. It's 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I won't go through the project details right now, but as you all know, we did improvements to the tennis courts. We made improvements to some of the pathways and to ensure that there is an accessible access from Amory Street down to the fields. So you're seeing the before and after here. And then improve the parking lots. So, the edge of the parking lot that's abutting Amory Woods was really eroding, and Amory Woods is part of the Halls Pond Sanctuary area. So what we tried to do here was really define that edge with new curbing, adding new plants, and stabilizing that bank, and also directing that water is hard to see here, the runoff from the parking lot to this small bioswale, which I'm very happy to report that it actually works during storms. So very excited about that. And we just added a ton of trees around the parking lot, and definitely best parking lot in town right now.
Yeah, I was there last week, I would agree.
Yeah.
Did
Awesome.
all the plastic stuff, all that stuff come down? Because last week, I mean, I was gonna ask, it looked like it was still being renovated, but maybe just had got rid
We
of it.
took out some of the orange snow fencing,
Right,
and that was
right.
there for when the grass got seeded.
Okay. No, I was there last week. The Halls
yeah.
Pond area looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you can see some of the images of Halls Pond and Amory Woods Sanctuary. So, if you have been there, you can remember, some of the wood within the boardwalks and decking were really deteriorating and rotting, and the railings had failed in multiple locations. But we were able to replace the decking using new wood material. Unfortunately, we were able to keep most of the structure, the columns and the beams for the decking in place. So very excited to have that completed. In addition to that, like we also redid some of the stone dust pathway that leads up to the boardwalk to really help make that space and transition accessible. And again, like some of the boardwalk before and after, you can see here, really much new and improved conditions here, making sure that the decking is safe and the door rails are not missing, and just making it all accessible space. Just like moving on to Schick Park, I'm also very happy to report that Schick Park is now completed and was officially open to the members of public last Friday. Again, like really a small park, but an important park because it has a really amazing play equipment that is very nice and shaded. And we also have a basketball court here, a pavilion with a shelter with picnic tables, and a walking loop. And the only thing to note here is that Schick Park is technically a green dog park, but we are suspending any green dog activities in this park until towards end of this year to really ensure that the grass goes through 2 full seasons of growing and it establishes. So again, like we couldn't have done this work without collaboration with multiple divisions within DPW and Engineering and Transportation Division. Has been our key partners in ensuring and overseeing the construction administration for the project, in addition to our landscape architects in town, and really wonderful work from everyone. And some upcoming project that we have is Monmouth Street Park. So as you all know, the phase 1 of the project where we installed the new playground equipment was already completed last year. So phase 2 will be starting construction in the first week of August, so in less than a month or so, which will include renovations to the existing lawn areas, planting beds, and and kind of repaving some of the patio area at the entries and then the parking lots. So looking forward to kicking that project off and, hoping for construction completion by towards the fall. Lauren, you have your hand raised. Did you have a question?
Yes, it'll be after your presentation.
Okay.
Sorry, I just did it because I can take it down if you want, if it's distracting.
No, all good. Just wanted to ask. Okay, so here are some pictures you see of Monmouth Park. Again, some of these pathways are going to be replaced, paved areas are going to be replaced, and made site furnishings will be replaced with new plantings. Similar to that, I just want to give a quick update on Skyline Park, where it has been in documentation phase for a while, and that's partially because we've been really focused on Griggs Park, trying to get that a little bit of boost because we have a little bit of a tighter timeline with Griggs Park in terms of bidding. And construction. So we're focusing on that, but this is, ongoing as well. And we're hoping to bid this out winter in 2026 for spring 2027 construction as well. And Griggs Park, as I mentioned, we had a really robust design review process, and many of the commissioners were part of that. And based on that, like we really came up with a solid plan to improve some of these existing conditions, like where pathways were really inaccessible at some points, and the playground equipment is really at the end of its life. So we're very excited to come up with a design that the community is very happy about. The community was really involved in shaping the plan for Griggs, and very excited about what's going to come there in future for the new play equipment. And Lawrence Anderson Park, this is something that we received funding as part of our FY25, and you'll see later that it's also in our future fiscal years in FY 2030 and 31. And there's multiple projects identified within the park, but really one of the key reasons why we've been waiting to kick off the FY25 funding is because, as you all know, we're currently working through the cultural landscape report for the park, and we're hoping that once we have the report in place and based on the recommendations in terms of priority in that report, like we will then create a game plan for which areas to focus on first. So again, like you all have seen this before, so I won't get into too much detail. Like some of the conditions at the entries and the walls are really in need of repair, and needs some restoration based on input from some of the preliminary studies that our consultants have done in the past, and the pathways kind of within the woodland areas like needs a little bit of a lot of work as well. So we'll be looking through all of that and really thinking about preserving some of these like historic structure and what we can do. So as part of FY27, just a reminder that we had Walnut Hills Cemetery, where we'll be looking into roadway and drainage improvements. So excited to launch that because, even if Walnut Hills is a cemetery, it is a key open space for the South Brookline area and for the whole town. I feel very proud to say that this is actually one of the coolest spots in town. So with the heat wave going on right now, if you want to cool off and find a shady place to walk, this is the place to be. So our goal is to replace all of the roadways that's out there in poor condition and try to replace as many of the moderate condition roads as possible. So you can see here some of the work we've been doing in the past few years to patch some of the potholes, but even with that, it's just in a desperate need of repair right now. So I'll pause there right now and see if you all have any questions on the process or some of the current projects. I can also go back to the full chart if you would like. So let me know if there are any questions.
People might have some, like particular questions about the parks, but so perhaps Clara, you want to take those first. My question is more about process. Mila, did you say August 11th, you're going to be looking for a vote from the commission on your CIP?
That's right.
So I have concerns, and Tim, I suspect you're looking perhaps for a vote that night as well. I personally don't think we should be doing that in August because usually there's, the public should be able to attend. August, sometimes we even skip our August Parks and Recreation meeting, and we're not going to get a good public turnout. And I know, like myself, I have plans to be away that second week of August, and I was talking to one other commissioner who does. I mean, we may not even have a quorum. No, actually, that commissioner is going to be gone a different week. So I just wanted to put it out there, and we can revisit this question. Is like, it seems to me we should push that off to September. And I was wondering like how that would impact you and Tim, just because it's a big, that's a big vote, that's a lot of taxpayer money. And I think that the public should have the opportunity to be there. And August is a very tough month to have public engagement.
Yeah, absolutely, Lauren. I hear you on that. But to be fair, this meeting will be advertised ahead of time, and we will have this advertised like 2 weeks in a row in Boston Herald. But I know even with that, it is a tough month because people do go out on vacations in August. We aim to do this in August, particularly because the deadlines for different divisions and departments, to submit our capital improvement projects to the town is in September. And, the thought process with August was that, if there are any feedback or any comments, that we have ample time to make tweaks for our September deadline. If we do it in September, like there really isn't not a lot of time for us to make any tweaks and then submit to our full plan to the town.
Okay. No, I just, my recollection is we have not taken votes on this sort of thing in August. I mean, or even years we skipped August, but I mean, if you have a timeline, you have to respect, I understand that. It was just a question.
Yeah.
But thanks. Oh, one last, no, actually, you answered it. It was a question about Schick Park, but it was answered. No worries.
Okay,
Thanks.
great.
And I have a question, but before I ask my question, this is a 5-year projection.
Yes.
And so
5-year projection.
things change. It's not cast in
Yeah.
stone. We have
Absolutely.
changed, in year 3 from when we vote on this and we'd say, oh, this other park's in much worse shape, but we don't have money to do it and this. So we swap projects around.
Yeah.
So I think we're voting on 5 years, and we,
We're voting on 5 years.
yes, 28 to 33, right?
Yeah, I can go back to that slide.
So, but oops. Anyway, so I just wanted to point it out that it's not cast in stone. And the other thing I wanted to point out that Millie has pointed out all this great work that her department has done and supervised, but she's not part of the capital improvement plans are the projects that get funded through the Community Preservation Act. And so they're busy doing it. People should keep in mind, say, oh, or maybe you're saying, well, what about this project? I know it's ongoing. Like the health, the little park that was just built on Harvard Street. So there are more projects than she's showing you, but they're funded through other means. I just wanted to put that
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that.
Okay, and then I know I spoke first, Jane, because I got my hand up before
You did have your hand up first. That's perfectly fine. Mine kind of goes a little bit with Lauren because I actually want to ask you about the process. And one of the things about process that I heard you saying is like when your park is about to be renovated, you try to put notice out for public to be able to say, and the design review committees that I've been on thus far, and you know this, Millie, as well as anybody, people have said like, oh, we don't want that much. The Griggs is a great example, that much done to our park. And that actually happened at the first design review committee that we heard that. So I think my thing in that, again, there was a lot of town meeting members on that particular call, but there were also lots of people in the community who were not town meeting members basically saying, we love our trees, leave our trees as it is. They wanted their path as it was, there's pretty much didn't want too much change. And so if we're putting out notice in order to solidify the CIP and sort of get that public process going, it does seem rushed. And I was looking just at something completely different related to Park and Rec, and it did seem like we do a CIP vote in September. So I don't know what that does to your timeline, and I want to respect your timeline and Tim's timeline as well, but it does seem like we have done it in September in the past, and I just think that does allow for people to be back from vacation, back in the mode of being able, the public to be able to comment. So I would like to at least have that considered as something we do think about. But can you clarify for me the question that I have underlying that is like the public process? You're going to put a public process out for the parks that are on the list to be renovated, right, in 2028, and hopefully get public comment. And how long is that going to be out there in the field, if you will, to get that comment?
Yeah, so absolutely, Jane, any of the projects that you see here, FY28 or beyond, like any projects like where we have a specifically design dollar associated, right? Like it always has to go through a public process. So for instance, like this FY27, we received the funding for design and documentation for Sewell. And this year we're asking, requesting funding for construction, but we haven't kicked off SUL yet, right? Like, but we will have to kick that off. So when the design review process does kick off, we do full public review process, as you saw in Griggs, like where we start from the very beginning, from reviewing what the existing conditions are, what the community feels about those spaces, and what they think the needs are, the different needs, and balancing all of those needs. And based on that, we come up with different design alternates and, finally land on what the concept is. And that is what we take and develop and use to create the full documentation for bidding and construction. So to your question, yes, there will be a full public review process involved. And, again, that public review process is what is going to determine exactly what the program, what the features is going to be in that particular project. So to your, again, like comment on Griggs, yes, there were so many feedback that we heard that people want the park as it is. So if you remember the the proposed plan for Griggs, like it pretty much looks the same, except for we improved accessibility. We tried our best to leave as many trees as it is, like work the new pathways. I mean, there's essentially just like 1 or 2 pathways that we try to make accessible. Right. And, other than that, like the loop pathway that's there is essentially the same. The play equipment area is pretty much where it is, but it's just upgraded to a new play equipment to address the fact that the existing play equipment is failing because it's all rusted, right, and doesn't meet our current codes.
Right. I appreciate what you're saying, but the question I'm trying to clarify is, I got the impression that before we even get to the point of design review committee, that you're also engaging the public before that, which it seems like that would be in July.
Yeah.
So what is that process? That's the one, because I feel like that I'm very unclear on that. And that's a question I'm sure you get asked a lot, but I often get like, how do they decide what is going to go out to bid even, right? And then the design review committee happens after that. So I guess that's my question is like, what is happening in July? Are you trying, let's use SUL since that's on the thing. If SUL's going to be happening, it's in July that you're going to try to say, what's the community want? Is that correct?
No, absolutely not. Like, SUL, again, like, so that design review process that you're describing, what we went through for Griggs is like completely different than
I hear that.
CIP cycle. So what I mean by public review is that, typically what we do is we come to the commission 1 month, right, present all of our projects, like future potential projects, and get feedback from the commissioners and any member of the public, like who's here present in the meeting. And this is also all publicly available. If someone is revealing this in their own time and they have a specific comment on a particular park, like let's say Billy Ward, or or maybe there is a park here that they think is needs renovation and they don't see on our list, and they might ask us like, hey, what about this park? Like, is this on your CIP cycle, right? So from now until next month, while this is all publicly accessible, we hope that, people have a chance to review this. And, as I mentioned, we will advertise our August hearing in multiple avenues. And we're hoping that, we might get some attendance and, some feedback from the members of the public.
I do want to sort of support what Lauren had said. I do feel like that would be better had we if we had held that off till September. It's just summer is just not necessarily the best time to get people to participate in the public, and it is really their tax dollars, and they do have a right to know that. And I think that gives us guidance. So quite frankly, but I respect the issue of time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jane.
Michael has his hand up, and I think then Carol has her hand up.
Yeah, I just had a question because you mentioned that making the CIP plan part of the process is looking at like how the long-term plans, like the climate resiliency plan and things like that, could be like put into play as the plan is made. And I was wondering like, how does that weight, like in terms of prioritizing parks, like say a park is like really in a good shape in terms of maintenance, but behind on resiliency, like how would that come into play? And then mostly just curious about like how long-term plans like that work their way into the CIP.
Yeah, so typically we would not renovate a park, to specifically meet the climate resiliency goal, but it's the other way around. So in any of our upcoming renovation projects, we look at opportunities of like, okay, here are the different goals from the different plans, right? Like OSRP, CARP, or Urban Forestry Plan, and what can we achieve in this particular park. And there might be some parks that might be in environmental justice area, right? Like, and what do we want to prioritize there versus like some parks like that might be completely shaded, and some of the goals like are already being achieved, and we don't have to go through that, right? So we go by park, what's out there and what is the priority, determine that, and think about like how much can we achieve. And a lot of times like this is also tied directly into cost, right? Because achieving some of the climate resiliency goals means like dealing with heat island effect, and that means thinking about porous paving or lighter material. And if you've noticed in a lot of parks in our town, it's only asphalt pathway, and sometimes like we don't have enough budget to make it into porous paving or our concrete pathway. So we have to weigh in and balance like what is important in this particular space that we want to focus on.
I'll also add to Michael, just as of recent with the rink as well as the outdoor pool, part of the bidding process with consultants and individuals submitting bids, consideration of climate resiliency action plans and ones that Millie mentioned are part of that bid, so that who's ever coming to work with the town is aware of it, and it's part of that assignment that they get when it comes to either a park or open space or excuse me, recreation facility, whatever it may be. So it's as they become more prominent, they're more commonly baked. Well, they are baked in now to the process.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
And Carol.
Okay, I have to admit, I am very confused about what you're going to do a presentation on. Is it going to be on this full 2028 through 33? You're going to present material on each one of those years, or is it just going to be on the FY 2028?
Yeah, so later in the second half of the presentation, Carol, I'll be focused on the FY 28 projects. And I'll just like give a super brief overview for this school projects, like what the different conditions are. Yeah.
All right, so then you're doing the presentation is going to be on the FY 28.
Yeah.
And we as a commission are voting on not just FY 28, but the 5-year plan?
It's focused on really the FY 28 and then like, the overall, 5-year-old plan. And as Clara mentioned earlier, even the commission votes on these, some of these projects like move up and down. For instance, last year, if you remember, we brought Harry Downs track and field. It used to be in FY 31, but we moved it up to FY 29 just because the track is in a really extremely tough condition, like where it really needs renovation. So even if today you vote, next time you vote on something, there besides the FY 28, all of these like other years, it could move up and down.
Okay, so then, all right, so that's this year. And in next summer or whenever it's going to be, we will have to look at the fiscal improvements from 2029 through 3034.
Exactly. And even next year when I come back, and next year when I come back, like, these might not be the projects, based on what we get approved by
even though we had voted on them the previous year, they may suddenly disappear.
Exactly. And, and this is directly tied to the town's budget, right? And what actually ends up
Well, this
being
is-
on our budget, based on feedback from, from our select board's office, from the sixth floor, then based on that, like we determine, okay, what does the FY29 project look like?
Okay, thank you. Where's Lori?
Okay, great. Any other questions before
Sorry,
we
I
move
do have
on
another
to-
question. Are
Yeah,
you
go
are
ahead.
you gonna cover the schools? Because I know there's several school playgrounds that are,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah,
all right, just wanted
I
to
will
check. All right,
at the end. Yeah,
All right,
so
all
I'll
right.
go through some of
Thank
the
you.
park projects and then go through schools.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if there are not any other questions, I'll move on with my presentation right now. So again, like we just
Oops,
looked at
Debbie's
this.
hands up. Debbie's hands up. It just doesn't
Oh,
show.
go ahead, Debbie.
I just want, I think I'm gonna be away on the 11th. I will do my
Okay.
best to be on, but I am gonna be away. So I just
Okay.
want, I don't know. Okay, thanks.
Okay, sounds good. Good to know. We can revisit the August versus September in terms of our timelines.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so I'm gonna be just like looking at our FY28 projects. For instance, everything you see down below here, and this is again like focused on parks and schools, everything here. So we have our recurring items, the Big Belly trash compactors, park and playground rehab and upgrade, town and school upgrades and maintenance, and tree removal and replacement. So essentially our urban forestry. So the big items on our list for FY28 is the Sewell Athletic Fields. This is the construction of funding for construction, and same thing for Lincoln School grounds. And just a reminder that both Sewell and Lincoln were approved by town meeting as part of our FY27 capital improvement plan. So just like a quick recap that, as I had mentioned earlier, parks and playgrounds and comfort stations, this capital funding really allows us to keep up with the maintenance of our public restroom facilities, our park spaces, and ensure that we are able to maintain everything periodically, and that really helps us extend the lifespan of some of our projects. And same thing with tennis courts and basketball courts around town, like the recurring capital funding helps us, maintain. Sometimes like we have to do a small renovation. Sometimes like it's resurfacing. Sometimes it's like repainting the lines. So depending on like what the need is, like we're able to use this funding. And again, like what the goal with some of these funding items is to really extend the life of our parks and open spaces, and ensure that like people are enjoying that in a safe way. So as I mentioned, like again, both parks and playground and schools, town and school grounds are used for some ongoing maintenance for different aspects, playground fences, or paving or planting, anything that is needed in these spaces. And again, just a reminder that the Parks and Open Space Division is the one that maintains all of our school grounds, because during the school hours, those playground spaces and field spaces are used by the school, but beyond that, it is really open to the members of the public to enjoy as well. And one of the other recurring items that you see in our plan is the Big Belly trash and recycling receptacles. So something that we've been doing over the past few years is to replace some of our open top trash cans with Big Belly to really address, some of the ongoing issues with rodents. And, this has really helped a lot, but, it's still an ongoing battle that we're trying to resolve.
I have a question about the big bellies.
Yeah, go ahead.
I see we're getting $145,000 for Big Bellies. Is that to buy new ones or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, my question is, does any of that money get used to take care of the current ones? I mean,
it
I
does.
live in, on Beacon Street, and the Big Bellies are always there's stuff piled on top because they're not cleaned out as frequently. And who's responsible? I mean, what budget does that come out of?
Yeah, so the Big Belly, some of the maintenance is also, funding comes from this capital project, and some comes from, depending on like what it is, where it is. It might come from either parks funding or school funding, or or the Big Belly capital funding. But to your question, it is maintained depending on where it is by Parks and Open Space staff or by Highway and Sanitation staff. So, in the commercial areas, typically it's done by Highway and Sanitation, but within the park spaces, it's Parks and Open Space.
But Neely, when Carol says, boxes on top, that's not maintenance, that's pickup. That's
pickup.
That's sort of
Well, that's not
ongoing.
covered by any of this.
That is entirely different, Carol.
Well, it seems to me we're creating more Big Bellies when we can't really take care of the ones we already have. So, I don't know how you balance that. I mean, I think they're a wonderful thing, but they are a mess a good deal of the time.
Yeah, and sometimes like it also depends on, what we've noticed is that, in some of the areas, people put something, right? And even if the Big Belly is technically not full, it jams the kind of like the opening area. And because of that, like we sometimes, the Big Belly thinks that it's not full, right? And we do not get the notification that it's full. And that's where like sometimes you see this like overflowing issues, Carol. But again, like that's something for us to improve on and keep an eye on and reflect on, and something that's different from the it's essentially operations, right? So we can certainly look into improving that.
This is not covered by any of the capital improvement funds.
Right. Like, I mean, if a Big Belly, let's say, is malfunctioning and, and it needs to replacement part, then it would be covered by the capital funding for sure.
And I know Debbie has her hand up, but I just wanted to interject that the Big Bellies are replacing more traditional trash cans, correct?
Exactly. The open top trash can, because, especially in our parks and open spaces, like where, it's a popular picnic area or popular birthday spaces, when the trash cans are open and there are bits of food that attracts rodents. And Big Belly has like really helped us like reduce that. It's still an ongoing process, where, it'll be a while for us to resolve that, but it has significantly helped.
Sorry, Debbie, your turn.
Oh, that's okay. I was curious to know where, I have a question and a comment. What do you do with the old ones? What happens to the old ones when you replace it with a new one?
The old ones is essentially get recycled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I had a citizen approach me about the comfort station at Harry Downs, and they said it's kept so beautifully, so clean, and they wanted the compliment. So whoever's doing that, she said it was a woman.
Yeah.
And, so I wanted to pass that along.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's Dorothy, our staff, and she is very passionate and very meticulous and rigorous about the upkeep of our comfort station. And, she takes her role very seriously. So I will relay that message. She will really appreciate that.
Oh, they appreciate it in that neighborhood.
Yeah, thank you so much, Debbie.
Sure.
Okay, so I will continue to keep going. So Sewell, again, as you all know, the scope of the project, really it's a huge site. As you all know, that includes accessibility, there's quite a significant accessibility challenges due to grade changes, different levels. So, you know, that will be a huge part of our renovation, new play equipment and surfacing for all ages, 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. There's also a splash pad, and there are 2 athletic fields and 1 natural turf and 1 synthetic turf. And as part of the project, we will also be looking at the roadway, parking, the tennis court, and trees, and you know, existing trees and new trees. So the scope is like really wide and really complex here. And you know, will really involve a big consultant team with different levels of expertise, like helping us figure out like how do we upgrade the project here. And again, like as we discussed earlier, all of that will not be done in a vacuum. There will be a robust public project process, as with any of our projects. And you know, we're excited to kick that off. And really, this funding here is for the implementation of, you know, once we have the design in place. So again, like this is just like a brief overview of other future capital improvement projects for different years. I'll talk about Lincoln in a bit as well, like when we talk about the schools overall. For FY29, a few of the key projects that are going to be involved is Harry Downs Track and Field, which will be the design funding. We are also looking into Juniper Playground for design funding. And I have Lars Anderson Park Ice Rink in here as a TBD, because I don't know what the, you know, funding is going to look like. And I'm not even sure at this point if it's going to be in the CIP, CPA, or any other external funding. So it's really here as a placeholder to remind everyone that we're in design process to you know, the CPA funding, but construction funding is something we are actively starting to think about. And in FY29, we will also be looking into the design funding for Hayes School. So similar to FY30, we have again Harry Downs, Juniper. We'll be looking into Lars Anderson Park for the upgrade of the comfort station, you know, the playground there and the parking lot area. We have Riverway Park, Skyline, Winthrop, and Ridley School. Ridley is there because the synthetic turf at the school is like really nearing the end of its life, and typically the lifespan of synthetic turfs is, you know, 10 to 12 years. So, you know, we're just like starting to think about that replacement for the field and Hayes School construction dollars. And 2031, we have Wilson Street Playground again, Coolidge, and Deep Lake Lehor pathway accessibility improvement, and Lars Anderson, you know, construction funding. And similar to that, we have continued in FY31, Riverway Park construction, Skyline Playground construction, and Winthrop Square construction. FY32, again, like we have Boylston Street Playground, Coolidge Playground, again, construction funding for Deep Lake Lehor. New project will be Lawton School. We also have Baker School, Baldwin, and Longwood. And finally, the 5th year, we have Clark Playground, and again, other projects, restoration projects for Lars and Lawton, Baldwin, and Playground. So you'll see here, we have a pattern here. Typically, we go for, you know, we break design dollars and construction dollars. Like we, you know, one year we go for design funding, and the subsequent year we typically request for construction funding. So it's quite a lot of information and dense information here. So appreciate your patience on this. And as I promised earlier, here's just a quick recap of where the schools are. So you can see here, many of the schools are really in need of renovation, and New Lincoln being one of the oldest, like where, you know, if some of you are familiar with New Lincoln, I'll talk about that in more detail, but it's really in need of renovation. So is Baker and Baldwin, Hayes and Lawrence. Some of the recently renovated school or in process of renovation is Ridley. I mean, Ridley was 2016. It's, as I mentioned, already 10 years old. And Driscoll is fairly new, and Pierce is under construction right now. So for New Lincoln, just a reminder that last year, well, not last year, but this fiscal year, 27, we received the funding for $970,000 to kick off the design process and get a consultant on board and and prepare a design, start the public review process, and get the documentation ready for bidding and construction. And this year we are requesting funding for the implementation of that design. And just like a little bit, again, recap, you've all heard me talk about Lincoln School multiple times before, but just a recap that it is, again, like similar to Sewell, a fairly large project for us in terms of scope. And, it includes the renovations of the fields, replacement of the playground, and renovation of the basketball court, and these parking lots and roadways, and ensuring that there's accessibility throughout. And again, if you've been to Lincoln School, similar to Sewell, there's like quite a bit of topographic challenge in there, and some of the spaces are really not accessible. And the other huge part, challenge for us there is the drainage and erosion challenges that we hope to address through this project as well. So a few existing condition images here for the different parts of the site here. And that's the end of the presentation. So thank you so much again for bearing with me. It was quite long.
Millie, I have a couple questions about the later projects that you've mentioned. One of them, the Boyle Street Playground.
Yeah.
And we've had design review of the fence to go over the T-tracks. Is that tied into the construction? I mean, where is the bridge that which is not a park and open space project, as I understand? It's a building project, right?
It's an engineering project, and there has been ongoing conversation around the timeline of the bridge right now, but we do not have anything concrete right now. But but the positive side is that there has been like the conversations around the timeline, and when that is going to come into play is starting, Clara.
So but to renovate the Boylston Street Playground where the bridge
is going to be tied to the bridge, yeah. And then like this, it's on FY 31 right now, with the hopes that as the conversations have picked up right now, we would be able to time with that. And if let's say the bridge is project doesn't come online until by the time we're ready for to start the design process, then this project will get pushed off. And as you might remember, that this project has, we continue to push that because of the bridge timeline.
Okay. And then my other sort of thing to mention, or that I hope that your department's paying attention to, is the rubber, poured in place rubber surface, which is the preferred safety surface because it lasts much longer than the wood chips that are used, et cetera, but it's incredibly hot. And so I don't know if the department's spending any time looking for alternatives to that also are handicap accessible and maintainable. I think that's the big issue coming up for all our playgrounds.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, we typically use the poured in place rubber surfacing primarily because that is truly accessible compared to engineered wood fiber or even stone dust. So that's kind of the primary reason. But given the current kind of climatic conditions, that's something for us to definitely think about. Do we pick a different color, or do we think about incorporate shade in some of these playgrounds, like for instance, parts of Briggs and parts of Schick, it's already very shaded, so that's helpful. But then in playgrounds and parks, like where there aren't lot of shades, I think like shade will be part of the conversation moving forward, and that the shade elements will help with that, Clara. But yeah,
It's gonna
certainly
be a
something to
big,
think about.
it's gonna be a big issue in the future.
Yeah,
And it's
certainly something to think about. Yeah, if
it's
there is an
plastic.
alternate material. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mealy, I have a question, and it's actually my question. One of my questions was exactly Clara's about rubber surface, and is that the best surface given heat issues? And then the other, I'm really glad you walked through the school projects and what's happening with those. But what I don't see, and I'm just curious, is Driscoll and the issue of the heat. And I know that it's
Yeah.
something we're trying to deal with. Is there money going into dealing with that at all because of the situation, or
Yeah.
where would that be in the process?
Yeah, so that is a conversation, like much larger conversation we need to have, with where exactly that would fall in terms of CIP, if that would be under parks, or if it would be under the school budget or the building budget. So we're like in the background looking at, what the different alternates are and what does that costs, what does the cost look like. Then I think the next step will be, where in this whose CIP and where it all falls. But that is definitely a huge priority, something we will be addressing over the next few months.
And so thank you for that. It's just it's one of those issues we've obviously heard about. And then the other thing that kind of going along with that, and I think it ties into a little bit to what Clara was saying, as we're doing some of these park redesigns, I know certainly Griggs trees were paid attention to. I don't remember it being as much of a focus on Amory, but I'm just wondering when it comes to these play surfaces, are we also, and Schick is a great example of where there's lots of shade and so it works. Are we also paying attention to having more trees, especially in North Brookline where there are not a lot of trees and it's a lot of heat island effect anyway? It's just a question. So is that something that's incorporated as we think about the design?
Absolutely. So when I had mentioned earlier that, as this year we completed our OSRP, the GARP plan, and the urban forestry plan had been in place for a while, but with OSRP and GARP, being kind of like ready for us to implement, we're actively trying to think about all of that, and specifically, the heat island effect, and thinking about like all the different ways that we can make it better, specifically in North Brookline. I feel like that is a huge priority for us. So we definitely are looking into, is it the surface color of the paving, or do we need to add more trees, or is there an opportunity for a shade structure? So we're looking at like all of the different, different possibilities, and then also, kind of doing a reality check, right? Like what can we afford, and how do we extend our resources to get the most bang for our buck, essentially.
Yeah, good. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Michael has his hand raised, Millie.
Yeah, I just had a question kind of, I guess, about the process of all this. So we will vote on these budgets, but you said that projects can get added or dropped based on what goes on with the reviews and stuff. Does that money get reallocated to other projects in the fiscal year?
We don't have any of those money yet, even for FY28. So typically, and I apologize, I should have given a full picture. What happens is that we, prepare our, 5 to 6 year project plan, and then, come to the commission and say, here it is. And these are all the different projects that we think are a priority. And this is like what it costs us to get this done. Then each fiscal year, for instance, now FY28, we submit those projects to, to our select board's office, like to our town administrator essentially, and they review each of the project. And, once they understand from us like what our priorities are, they have to balance, right? Like essentially town administrator's office has to balance, where does that all fit now within the larger town's budget, and based on that, like we get, approved on some of the projects, and based on like the funding available, we might be said that, okay, so this year we don't have a lot of funding, you might only get 200,000 for the school rehab instead of the 260 we asked for, right? So they are also balancing multiple priorities for the town and want to also make sure that we are, enabled and empowered to keep going with some of our operations and capital projects. So, and once that happens through the town administrator's office, like that then lands into the town meeting book, right? Like essentially, and then comes in front of the town meeting for vote, typically in spring. And that's kind of like when it's like really ironed out, and which is why, like, anything beyond FY28, that's our hopes and dreams. That's what we think are important. But, when we said it goes up and down, like, it really depends on, what was really approved this year.
Okay, really clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out, so 2028 will be money that's allocated, and when the Community Preservation Act is not allowed to fund project where the money has been allocated.
Yeah.
So we can't say, oh, let's use CPA money to fund something that's already, but we can look ahead to years 29, 30, 31, 32, 33 and say, oh, we could fund that one. And so that's another way that would get it taken off the list, even if CPA can pay for it. So that's something to keep in mind.
Exactly. And, again, like something you didn't see here is our full CPA, wish list. Like we have a wish list of project already, for the next 5 years for CPA as well. So we're typically like planning our CIP along with CPA as well. So some of the, projects are really CPA eligible. For instance, like for FY 26, we had, multiple projects under historic preservation, like restoration of these like fences and old bearing ground and Manor Rose Garden, which, we felt like is, fit really well with the, goals of CPA than CIP. So we're really, working within DPW and also with the town administrator's office to kind of like look at the full picture and like balance things.
Thanks, Millie. So do you have more slides, or did you show us all your slides?
That's it.
Good job.
You're all awesome.
Yeah. So, okay. So
Sorry, one very quick thing.
Lauren has a
Can you-
question.
Can you just send us all the slide with all the
We'll all,
project and then the school one? That's just very useful to have as a reference point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thanks.
that'd be great. So we will not vote on it. We'll vote on it in August or maybe September. Millie will get back to us on that.
We will review and get back to you. And, between now and then, if you think of anything, if you have any questions or comments or any feedback, I really welcome that.
Thank you. So the next item.
Before we move on, I do have one more question. I'm sorry. Millie, you mentioned the Rose Garden and I was asked about that. So I just want to, the gate, you must know about the gate being broken to the Mina Rose Garden. So the gate is broken, and I guess there's been requests to fix it. I don't even know if that's you or if it's somebody else, or your department, I should say, or somebody else.
That would be us.
Oh, that would be, okay. So the gate is broken at the Rose Garden. And until you said it, I completely forgot that I was approached about it. So now that you mentioned it, I remembered. But I guess it's broken and people can't get in, and so it's kind of a problem. So thank you.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks, Jane.
I guess we've given you a list of things to do. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Okay. So now we have presentation, commission questions, discussion of fiscal year 2028 capital improvement plan for the Recreation Department. Tim, it's your turn.
All right. Millie did a lot of the legwork, so mine's going to be a lot quicker. Um, for two reasons. One, obviously Parks is our biggest partner in town. A lot of the projects that were talked about tonight have a direct benefit to recreation, Sewell being a tremendous example of that. So a lot of these projects that Millie was talking about with Parks, Recreation's at the table with it. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is just a few, I think only about 3 or 4. And that really comes down to the limited buildings that Recreation controls. A lot that we've talked about over the many, many months about some of the projects that we've been doing, some of the projects that are currently going, and then like we'll talk about here tonight, some of the projects that are coming up. So we'll just start this. Oops, skipping to the end. Brookline Day is coming up, in case anybody was wondering. There we go. All right, my apologies. All right. Here we go. So just to recap, kind of like Millie did, just some project updates of what we've been, a lot we've been talking about over the last year, a lot we've been talking about leading up to the last town meeting. So just a quick overview of some of the great successes we've had this past year. I think we've had a very successful year when it comes to capital. But the one thing that we will point out, last year's capital plan, we kind of kicked it off talking about the driving range lighting for the lighting plan of lighting the driving range and expanding those hours due to public feedback and many conversations that we've had. We put that on hold. I'm going to talk about it shortly with upcoming projects as we look at that differently and retool it for more of a public process as requested. So that was taken off. The outdoor pool study, which was on last year's capital plan that we talked about, it is in progress. I'll give a more in-depth update on that in a little bit, but we did have the the feasibility study money. We have gone through that process. We're happy to report we do have a firm on board to do that. So that is in progress, and our anticipated completion date on that is this fiscal year, hopefully this spring. That study will be done. I wanted to highlight, I just highlighted it a few minutes ago, just to kind of illustrate the conversation that we're having here tonight about projects that are put on in the future. And then when they make it to the 6th floor with the town administrator's office and the Board of Selectmen, select board, they kind of get shuffled around to see priority as well as funding. And our filtration system at the Aquatic Center, ECAC, was moved up this past fiscal year budget. So this past town meeting, that project was actually approved. We weren't anticipating that for another year or two, but we're very, very thankful that that went through. So we will start soon. It's a partnership between the building department and recreation to get an architect on board to do or a firm on board to do the study, to get the construction documents done, and then that construction going. So this is probably going to be about a 2-year process this fiscal year to get the documents going and then bidding it out and getting construction going. So, but we're very thankful that that's going. And then I know we're going to talk about CPA at our next meeting, but I just want to put in that we still have our Putterham Woods Trail Enhancement Project that was funded through CPA. That's going on. It's our anticipated, and that's signage through the trails, the Emma Cummings Stone, kind of the final touches within the trail system. Our goal is to have that complete fall of 26 before Harvest Fest, so we can have all the signage up, all the trail markers, kind of, again, the finishing touches on that. Just to recap some of the things we've been talking about pretty much all year, if not more. The Sewell Courtyard, we spoke many times. That was completed this past fall. The dehumidification system at the pool, obviously we talked about a lot with the closure, was completed this past winter. Our master plan drainage project of the front 9 was completed a few weeks ago, so I'm excited to provide an update of that during the rec update. And then the other CPA funded project that we had at the golf course with the window restoration. Hopefully a few that you guys noticed it today as we joined for lunch. But that is complete as well. So again, great success that we've had with capital over the past 1 to 2 years. And so as we look to new projects, as mentioned, only a few in comparison, even though, again, we're piggybacking on Park with a lot of what the Parks Department is doing. Most notably, as we continue down the road, is the golf master plan, just the next steps of that now that our front 9 drainage is done. We were granted the transfer from the enterprise fund this past fiscal year to continue that work based on the master plan. Our next task will be to rebuild the green and fairway of hole 15, continue some drainage, some smaller drainage improvements on the back 9, forward tees, so making more accessible tees for our players, resequencing the course. So instead of the traditional way of playing it, as many know it now, we'll be kind of flipping it on its head and moving some holes around. Kind of the sequencing of how you experience the course will happen this fall, and then some tree planting. Throughout construction, as we go through, some trees will be needed to be taken down due to their condition, but obviously we want to be good stewards of the land and put more trees back in to help with that. The golf course parking lot is new for this one that we were putting on for F128. We'll dive into that shortly. And then this is what I was talking about. We would like to implement a driving range master plan. And what this will do, which we'll talk about again more in a little bit, is require a public process and really address everything at the driving range, top to bottom, and our what we look to do and get the public feedback with that. And then last one, that outdoor pool construction that we are going to be putting a placeholder on, similar to what Millie was talking about with the rink. The cost of it is going to be the concept, and the cost we will get coming out of this feasibility study. But the estimates that we're seeing is roughly around 8 million. So we'll be putting that as a placeholder. But again, at the conclusion of the feasibility study, we will have a much clearer picture of what the cost is going to be and what that project will look like. So moving through the projects, as mentioned, the new one, the biggest new one being on is the golf course parking lot. Our parking lot is kind of our biggest headache that we have right now at the golf course. If you've been there, if you park there, you might be aware of it. It's in rough condition. We have broken asphalt. The lining is very difficult as much as we like to reline it or can reline it. It's undersized for the need that we have due to the popularity of the golf course and the rounds that we're seeing, the growth of the rounds that we're seeing. We have some traffic pattern issues about our entrance is also an exit that causes kind of a jam up. So addressing the traffic pattern of the parking lot. And then also making more connectivity to Putterham Woods. As we create this idea that the golf course is more than a golf course, we want to make sure that we are promoting Putterham Woods and access to those woods specifically. So we're not battling out when it comes to the general parking of the course. Cost on that is $650,000. We've been that is a cost that's been handed down. We've been working with engineering in town and their consultants and their employees to come up with that cost. And this will be a full depth redo of the parking lot. So just an idea of what we're talking about with some of these things. First, biggest being the traffic pattern as illustrated by the arrows here. Right now, this entrance here where my cursor is a two-way. So we have individuals coming in and also going out of a very, very, very narrow area. So at some points not being able to get 2 cars comfortably through. So redirecting that traffic pattern to use this upper exit of the parking lot. Not expanding the footprint of the parking lot, but retooling the lines of how we are lining it properly. Mainly implementing more diagonal spaces down towards the bottom of the lot. If you're familiar with the lot right now, there's no spaces lined down there. Right now it's in rough shape because it's being used for some staging because of construction. But being able to use what we have footprint-wise more strategically and gaining more parking spaces. So we're looking at gaining, I think, 14 to 15 more parking spaces. And then again, at the top here with Putterham Woods, making more delineation of lining there to be able to enjoy the entrance and those woods in general. Another big piece of it is making a sidewalk a safe walking area coming from that lower parking lot. Right now, if you park there and you want to come up just the Hemlock or even to go check in for your golf round, you're walking up this main roadway where the cars are going. So an implementation of just a safer walking path, again, to access the clubhouse as well as accessing the golf course in general. So some simple fixes to the flow that will have a big impact. Carol, you have your hand up on this?
I don't see the other exit. You said there's going to be another exit from the parking
So
area?
right here, so there's already 2 exits right now. Up here, I should have labeled it better. Where my cursor
Oh,
is,
there's an exit there. Oh,
Yep.
okay,
there's
okay.
there's a top exit there.
Oh,
and
yeah, I
that'll
think I've even gone
come to
out
me.
that exit.
Well, there you go.
Okay, thanks.
Clara?
This one's not funded by the enterprise fund, correct?
Correct.
And why is that? I thought all golf course improvements were
So
enterprise.
that's a conversation we have to have with town administration. We don't have enough funds in the enterprise account or the retained earnings to be able to afford this right now. So that's why we'll put it to, again, town administrator's office, and they'll provide guidance on how they want to have us approach it for funding.
Thank you.
Driving range master plan, as mentioned, again, this is in response to the public feedback that we got from the last year's proposed lighting project. Mainly being, especially going through the advisory committee and speaking with those committees, the master plan, similar to what the golf course did in general with the entire master plan for the course, this allows us to execute a full design review committee process for the driving range for that project. And what that project and what the master plan is, speaking with Justin and, as we've been for quite some time, looking to address is not only lighting, but ADA improvements to the driving range, access and egress to the driving range and the bays, updated hardscaping of the area, including the food service area, the community gathering area, which is behind the driving bays, retaining walls, and whatever other spaces we may need to improve that experience. Updated landscaping of the range. This includes on the range itself, introducing target greens for a more kind of intimate experience when it comes to using the driving range, a little more challenge, but general privacy and natural privacy of the space. So plantings, looking at strategic plantings if we need them, just being respectful of the neighborhood and the lighting in general. Again, as mentioned, installation of lighting for the extended range hours. And it's our hope to implement this as we're doing here tonight, FY28, and this would be paid out of the golf course enterprise account. So we would look to budget this for the FY28 budget and get that process going for that year. So taking this current fiscal year off with this and then approaching it in the next fiscal year for FY28. And then, as mentioned, outdoor pool planning and construction. Again, final cost is going to be determined through that feasibility study, but speaking to the firm that has been hired and doing the research that we've been doing, 8 million seems to be the safe placeholder. Again, we don't have a timeline when this is going to be implemented. It's in the hands of the town administrator's office in the 6th floor to see where it can fit. But what will be left is the design. So what we're doing in the feasibility study right now is concept. So we'll get conceptual drawings as well as cost estimates along with other estimates of operational costs. And then the next steps, once we agree on it and it moves forward, we'd look for design, construction documents, and then obviously construction costs. But 8 million seems to be the number that we are getting from multiple individuals as a recommendation. And then again, anticipated cost and design determined in the spring of 2027. So this fiscal year, that feasibility study will complete and we'll be able to get a more accurate picture. So, Carol.
You're muted, Carol.
Maybe I missed something, but have they chosen the location?
No, so the location is part of the feasibility study that's happening right now, which is going to kick off probably in the next month or so.
Because I would think that the estimated cost really depends on the location.
Correct. Exactly. Depends on the location, depends on the size, depends on the scope. But we're, again, 8 million is just a placeholder. It's not a final number.
Oh, okay.
Debbie.
Yeah, hi. I saw the installation of the lighting for the extended hours for the driving range. I didn't see anything about the studies. I'm curious about if any of the studies are being done that were requested about the animals and the light, the dark sky.
Dark skies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. They have been. But we'll redo them pretty much to align with whatchamacallit, the master plan when it comes to the driving range. So again, work that's already been done in process, but we're just putting it all on hold right now until we approach the master plan piece of it.
Okay, great. So you said you did do the studies?
We've been working on them. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. So
great.
Mass Audubon, Dark Skies, everything like that, work that we've been doing. So,
Beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you.
yep. Jane?
that wasn't my question, but can we get access to the results of those studies? That wasn't
I
actually
can
my question.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
can see if Justin and I are comfortable with making it public consumption right now, but I can send you what we have. Yep.
Okay, that would be nice for us to be able to see it. The thing I was actually really going to ask about was I was going back through Park and Rec meetings, had nothing to do with any particular item. Well, it was a particular item, but nothing to do with the golf course. But happened to see a lot of things around not driving practice facility. So the idea of it being the short game, right? So it would be bunker practice and kind of around the tee areas. And it just seems to me that would be a really lovely thing for the golf course to think about. I happen to be at another facility, I won't say where, and they have a year-round membership that goes for $675 to use just the practice facility. And the other piece of it is they have a membership for the putting. And so you have these you already have the putting, and then, and I don't know if you want to think about memberships for those or not, but I just think, when I think about the enterprise fund and ways to fund it, the short game is something that's very popular. Families can go out there, little kids can go out and practice, you can take lessons, all that, but it's pretty popular thing, and it just feels like it's a missed opportunity and certainly a non-controversial one. So I just wanted to mention that. And you can do with
Can I-
that with what you choose.
Can I ask you to clarify when you say short game, are you
Well,
talking around the putting green if we did
Around
chipping
the putting green,
areas?
so it's the chipping and the putting in the bunker. So the facilities that I've seen have all of that. And they include, they actually have memberships to do just that part of the game. Because that's what
Okay.
some people want to do. So it's just a thought. It's not,
Yeah.
I'm not telling anybody how to do their job, certainly not Justin and you, like, this better than I do, but I was kind of intrigued by the fact that exists. And that it seems to be potentially a moneymaker for these other places.
Yeah,
And
I'm
certainly
happy to
not
connect with Justin
controversial
on that.
compared to putting lighting in, which will be controversial. So just want to throw that out there.
My guess is Justin has thought about it, so I'm happy to.
Yeah, and he's
happy to
actually
check
talked
in
about
with
it at many
Yeah.
different Park and Rec meetings. He's actually talked about this, practice facility. So I think, and then, I don't know what's going on with that former bocce court, that area there. But it just seems like that could be
Great.
repurposed.
I'm happy to follow up with them. Yep.
Yeah, so that it would
sure.
just be nice to know what's going on with those things, I think. And then there was one other thing, but I forgot it, went right out of my head, so I'll let it go. But thank you.
Yeah,
I'll follow
Claire?
up with you personally if I can think of it.
Sounds
Thank-
great. Thank you. Clara?
Tim, when you were talking about the lighting of the driving range or when you do the master plan, you'll have a design review of the master plan of the driving range. You'll have a design review committee for that. And
Correct.
you'll review the different components that could include, including lighting. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
And that you're collecting this information now to have it to offer at the design review. Is that correct? And
Correct. Yeah. Especially Dark Skies. I know the moderators committee is putting out their new draft on that. So all that information is going to change before we get to that. So we're still closely monitoring it as it goes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Jane, do you still?
I do. I'm sorry, Clara, you helped me remember what it was. So there was a design review for the golf course. And I actually was surprised to see my name was actually on it. So there was a design review. I know Lauren Bernard was on it. Clara, I think you might have been on it, but it was back when Antonio was on it. So Antonio was a person on it. And then there was some other members that were golfers. And, I don't know where that went or whatever. I don't recall ever being called to a meeting. But I do think it's something that
That was for the master plan of the golf course, the drainage. You're thinking of something else? We had
yeah, it was, I wasn't on Park and Rec when that other master plan happened. This is once I joined Park and Rec in December of 2023. And I'm just saying, I don't know if Lauren was invited to meetings. I know, I'm not trying to call anyone on the spot. I
It
just
was
know I
like one meeting.
Okay, there was one meeting. I don't even remember one meeting. But anyway, I'm just saying that that process has existed. So I think sometimes between people, things get lost. So I just want to mention that did exist.
Michael,
Yeah, I was just wondering, because you were talking about redoing the parking lot, is there anywhere to park your bike at the golf course?
yeah, so if you go up, so if you're entering through the main entrance right now and you take a right as if you were going to walk up to the driving range, there's a stone dust pathway with some outdoor seating. There's a bike rack right there at that entrance.
And will any be added with the redoing of the parking lot, or that isn't part of the plan?
That isn't part of the plan as of right now. I'm not saying it can't be as we go through it. So that's a pretty easy addition to do. So. Anything else? Much quicker. Oh.
Thanks, Tim. That's, you don't have more slides? You've used all your
I
slides?
can come up with some if you want.
No,
So.
Tim, I do have
Oh, Jane
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
want to let you go. Jane's got
No,
her
sorry,
hand
Tim, I
raised.
can't let you go. I'm sorry.
That's
So
okay.
again, when I was going through minutes, there was this thing on recreation, and I don't know where it ever went. And it was to look at our current rec centers, Lynch, Elliott, Sewell, and look at the potential for expansion of any other use that they may not be using now. And it was supposed to be for fiscal year 27. And which would mean kind of now, pretty much. So my question to you is, do you even know about that? And do you know what that process might even be?
I am not aware of that,
Okay.
but I'm happy to look back as well. And
Okay,
see
and there's
what that was
another
about.
one about fields. I don't know where we're magically going to come up with a field, but the idea was to look at a field, and there was like money,
Okay.
75,000 and 50,000 respectively put into those. But anyway.
Okay.
So watch out for
Thank
me
you.
when I go back and look at minutes. Anyway, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. So we do have someone not on the commission with their hands raised. I don't know if I'm playing completely by the books. We didn't have a public discussion on this item, but can we what do we do?
I'm okay with it.
Okay,
So, yeah.
Let me promote Alyssa.
Alyssa.
Okay, Alyssa, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. Actually, I don't know, I didn't know when I could ask. I know that you can ask questions or make comments about topics that are being discussed. And I know we're also going to discuss the recreation, the outdoor pool later. So I'm wondering when I should make my comments. Should I wait until Tim gets to that and talks about it?
Tim, are you gonna?
I'll provide a brief update during the rec department update. Build upon what we talked about with CIP. So happy to take it now or wait. Clara, whatever you'd like to do.
Alyssa, let's wait so Tim can give everybody an update, and then I'd love to hear your comments or your questions.
Sure. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. So the item 5 says assign vice chair for Park and Recreation Commission. That, as someone noted, that's not correct. We will vote for a vice chair. That's my understanding how we voted when Teresa was the vice chair. We voted for the chair. So I know that I've talked to someone who's interested in being the vice chair. So I just would like, before we go on with this, Arlene had her hand up before Tim started. So if Arlene, if this is something we've discussed and you have a question about it, then it's not on the agenda for later. So go ahead.
Oh, forgive me. Hi, everybody. I also had trouble signing on. My phone battery is now almost dead. I don't know why I'm having trouble speaking to you. And actually, I'm sort of kind of interested in talking about, I think, your next agenda item. So because I didn't do it at the very beginning, I wanted to make sure that I got my hand up now so that.
So
I
is this
had a
about
chance
the Brookline Avenue are you interested in discussing vice chair, which is the next item?
No. The Brookline, I don't see vice chair on the agenda, but then again, I'm doing everything wrong here, so.
So you
I
want
wanted to discuss Brookline Avenue.
Brookline Avenue Development Project?
Yep.
Okay, great. When we get to that, please raise your hand if you can.
My hand will probably still be up unless my phone dies.
Okay,
So-
your hand is down now, so do raise it again
Okay.
when we get to that. Lauren,
Thank you.
do you have your hand
Yep.
up?
Yes, I know. Sorry, I clicked it twice. I'll put it down. Yeah, my understanding is that the vice chair thing was removed from the agenda and posted on Civic Clerk. So I don't know that this
I
is.
was gonna say the same thing. You may not have seen it, Clara. but
Lori wrote us
sent
a
out
note.
last minute. No,
Lori wrote us a note.
I saw Jane's note saying it's,
and then she sent out a revised agenda and posted.
She
that
sent
on
a
Civic.
revised agenda, so. I
and she
think that
took it off.
She
Correct.
did, yes.
And so we're gonna vote on it we're gonna bring it, it'll be on next
Which
month's
probably is when we
agenda.
reorganize it anyway, so.
Right.
Say, I'm
Well,
sorry,
again,
Letty.
I was just gonna say, we probably are reorganizing then anyway, so that's, well, I'm assuming, well, I don't know what I'm assuming. I'm not
Isn't
assuming.
that when appointments happen?
Yeah,
August?
well,
I mean, I
mean,
was appointed.
Clara
in
and I are up and
Mhm.
there'll be a new appointee.
Right. Okay, well, next month we will vote on a vice chair. And
Mhm.
I don't think my years, I know I get, the chair you can kick me off but I get to serve at least until January, I think. So, so thank you. So we'll do vice chair in August if we have a meeting.
Mhm.
That's what's going on. Okay, so now we will go to the Brookline Avenue. No, wait a second. Yeah,
No.
Brookline Avenue Development Project update and assign a member of the commission to the DAT committee. So Millie, is that you?
Yeah, I can take that on. I had, last moment sent you all this memo about the project, kind of, giving you all a sense of what the project is about. So essentially, this is going to be a mixed-use building where there will be some retail component on the ground floor. Here you can see on my screen two views, of the proposed building. One looking from the Riverway Park towards the building, and then the other one looking from Brookline Ave towards the building. So essentially, this project is going to be developed by the same developers like who built the Hilton. And as part of that, like I mentioned, there will be retail component to that. There will be apartments, and there will also be micro units built into that, like to kind of like address like affordability and housing in the town. And as part of the project, there will be,
Billy, could you point out what street is what here? Because the streets are not labeled.
Yeah, so this over here, Carol, is River Road, and Riverway Park is right here in the screen. And a little bit of the red you see here, that's Punch Bowl. On the left here is Route 9, and at the back here is Brookline.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
Thanks.
And then the view is reversed here. So there is a significant public realm opportunity here because, as you can see, the building design here allows for this kind of, big punch through opening through the building, like where there is like a drop-off component to this as part of the project. And also, more importantly, this allows to have this direct connection from Brookline Ave up to the Riverway Park. So, as part of the project, this team will be looking into all of that, like improvements around the ground plane, improvements of the streetscape. That is an extension of the Hilton project site, and also like different like landscape elements and some amenities like benches, lightings, and so forth. So it is currently, has gone through, I believe, the planning board's like preliminary review in June, and they will be, the planning board will be starting the design advisory team to review the development of the project and what, we have been asked, the commission has been asked to assign one commissioner to this project, to really provide the viewpoint of parks and open space, because as you can see here in this view that the project directly abuts Riverway Park, and how the project is positioned, like how some of these pedestrian and vehicular connection are tied in, directly impacts the experience of the park, and how the park like then ties into the other larger aspects of Brookline Village. So I think it's an important project for us, for the commission to be part of, and I'm hoping that today you all will be able to make some review who would be able to serve on this committee. So this is again, like I didn't include this presentation from the design team in the packet in the afternoon, but I will make sure that you all have access to this. This has like the full presentation the design team has shown to the planning board. And we won't go through all of it right now, but I just wanted to, for you to get a quick idea of where the project is and what it looks like right now.
I have a question, Milay, because so the Hilton Garden Inn backs up on this, and like you see where Punch Bowl is, but where does the Riverway Park and
Right
path
here.
go? Is it just not shown in the rendering, or because it looks like we're building over it, which I'm sure we're not.
So I'm going to mark this, Lauren, this here within the pink, that's Riverway Park.
Oh, I see. So Punch Bowl. Okay, I got mixed up. I thought it was turned the other way. Okay, no,
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
That's the Riverway Park.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the Terrace of Punch Bowl behind that. Okay.
Exactly. The Punch Bowl.
Okay, it's right there. Okay, I was no, now I get it. So this is sort of like an expansion of, this is like phase 2 of the River Road project. Okay,
Not Riverway project, but the
River Road.
extension of
River
the
Road.
right, exactly. The Hilton, Hilton, and it's not hotel, but it's being turned into mixed-use apartment and retail.
Is there going to be a need for zoning
also a large
change?
garage.
Sorry, is there a need for a zoning change there? Like, I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so. I think this is zoned for a number of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Thanks.
So Millie, if you take down the presentation, if that's okay, and we'll ask.
Yes, absolutely.
Ask commissioners, is there a commissioner interested in serving on the?
I would be very interested.
Thank you, Lauren. Anyone else?
I mean, I would also be interested, but I would be,
Okay.
yeah.
So, and how many, Millie, can you talk about time commitment for this in terms of when the meetings are and how many you anticipate?
Yeah, typically design advisory team meetings, depending on how complex the project is, I would imagine there to be minimum 2 to 3 meetings, because it's essentially planning board's public review process for, large impact projects. So I would say minimum 3 meetings, and typically planning board does meet in the evening, so it'll be evening commitments.
Okay. Lauren, if it's okay with Michael, will Lauren has volunteered for others and not been appointed, so Lauren wants this, and if
No,
you're
I was about
comfortable-
to say, Michael, I mean, just, if you would like to do this, that's fine. And it's okay, I mean, because I don't know if I'm gonna probably get pretty busy with the pool stuff too, so.
Okay, I mean, if it's all right with you.
Yeah,
I-
no, it is.
yeah.
I did a little bit of work on the First River Road project. I wasn't on that committee, but I was involved with some other things with it. So I'd be happy to talk to you like offline about it, what I know. That's
Sure.
all.
Yeah, that sounds good. I
Okay,
appreciate that.
sure.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Michael. So Michael, you'll be the Park and Rec representative on that committee.
Sounds good.
Thank you. And then we have hands raised. Arlene, Arlene, you wanted to speak to this, and then so go ahead. You're muted. There you go.
No, I know, I see. Hi. Yeah, I wanted to speak about the importance of River Road to Brookline Park System. I know that something that's been brought up before to the Park and Rec Commission, and I believe to Millie, maybe her predecessor, yes, definitely to Alexandra, is the fact that River Road is parkland. It's not a Brookline street. It is a Brookline park. And I think that that is something that is so important to bring to this design review committee, because this is literally Brookline parkland being taken for other use. And the reason I say that is because the hotel has their major entrance and exit from their utility space, their garage on River Road. That means their trucks, their restaurant supplies, their hotel guests all use River Road to enter and exit their garage. I think that before we go ahead and work with the planning department to extend Claremont, which is the development, and they do, someone asked, is this within zoning? Yes, it was rezoned. The industrial island was rezoned for this project, but they want to go 2 stories above that. So they will be asking to go beyond the zoning. And there should be a huge discussion about mitigation, what they can do for Riverway Park, how they intend on treating River Road. And I think that this is I think the person representing, Michael, representing Park and Recreation Commission needs to be very firm in stating that these are, whatever is done, whatever is given in the way of tree planting or whatever is called mitigation is not a gift. That indeed they're being allowed to use the park for their building is a gift to them. And I think that attitude has to be prevalent. I think one of the things that's bothering me already is that there is going to be an open arch. Claremont is going to build, in effect, 2 structures joined over an archway. That is what Millie described as being able to see through from Brookline Ave to the park. That is not something Claremont is doing out of the goodness of their heart. There is a town right-of-way that does not allow it to be built upon. So the developer doesn't have a choice but to leave that space open. So we need to be really careful when this project is being planned to make sure that we're the ones that the park community are the ones who are setting the tone and the conversation. I don't know if that's, I don't know if that sounds too aggressive, but I think that this is a time when, as I was speaking with Antonia about this a bit, where, as she said, we're giving up parkland. In effect, we're giving up parkland. And if they intend of putting, matter of fact, I was just told that they're not putting another garage, that the existing garage at the hotel is going to serve this project. That means more cars, more utility vehicles, more whatever, they need to run their building is going to be using River Road. We should be asking for a great, great deal in terms of what they're giving back to Riverway Park and the Brookline Park system.
Thank you. Thank you,
I'm going to
Arlene.
add just one other thing. And it's a question, I guess, for you and for Millie. Right now, the restaurant at the hotel is using River Road for outdoor seating. There was supposed to be a fee paid. The select board voted a couple of years ago, maybe during COVID, for fee rate for the use of outdoor restaurant seating, either on streets or sidewalks or park. And I'm wondering, is that fee still being paid by the restaurant? And is it going to the park department? Because that is parkland.
Arlene, I will need to check on that and see where that is at. So I don't have the answer to that right now, but let me take a look at that and I can get back to you. Does that sound good?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Arlene, for bringing that up.
And Arlene, thanks for giving that sort of backstory, the back information that I'm sure will help Michael and all of us dealing with that.
There's some historic documentation to all that, which I believe, as I say, Alexandra had, and it may be somewhere in your files. I would be happy to help dig around again if you need it again to talk to these other people sitting on the committee so that they know this is serious.
That's good. Thank you, Arlene.
Michael, can you work with Millie to get that information so you're equipped when you represent us?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like I have some homework to do before I dig into all this.
Thank you. Okay. I know I'm going to go with commission members first. Debbie, I see something that says your hand is raised, although then I have a band marking it. But go. So Debbie, and then Lauren, and then if there are no other commissioners, Sean Lynn Jones.
I just raised my hand, so I think Lauren was ahead of me.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I don't know if this is possible, or who picks the committee, but would it be possible to have somebody from Green Space along with Michael on this committee? And I don't know who does that or if that's possible, but that's pretty compelling what Arlene said. And, why not?
Debbie, that would be the request or conversation with the planning staff and potentially the planning board, as this project is being led by the planning department and the planning board.
Okay.
But certainly something to put forward with, and I'm happy to relay that message as well.
Okay, thank you.
Lauren, go ahead.
That was actually something I was gonna say. It's okay that we should have somebody from Green Space Alliance, or And I just wanted to respond a little bit to Arlene's concerns. I mean, I agree. This needs to be done carefully. And having served on the Coolidge Corner Study Committee that met for every month for 3 years to come to an agreement with Chestnut Hill Realty over the Waldo Durgan project. It is a gravel pit right now that I look at every day. Getting commitments from developers and having them follow through is a tricky process. And we don't right now have a process in place in town that, you know, other than memorandums of agreement, which need to be analyzed every letter, every punctuation mark, as far as I'm concerned. I think the best thing we can do is have several constituencies, like Debbie suggested, you know, not just a commissioner, someone from Green Space Alliance, maybe someone even from preservation. Because I am someone who is concerned about the lack of housing in our area and think we need to do something about it. I believe I was in town meeting when the micro units project was voted. I voted for it, as far as I remember. And I sympathize with all of that, and the housing crisis is very serious. But, you know, respecting our parks and open space is essential. And I believe it can happen. And I share Arlene's concern about, I did not realize that they were going to depend on the parking lot from the hotel. I think that's a recipe for disaster, personally. But I wanted to talk about asking about Green Space Alliance, and I think it's a great idea. And who is leading this DAT? Is it Kara Bruton? It's planning, you said?
Yeah, it's Bobby Selko.
Oh, it's
And
planning
Kara.
board,
Yeah.
and then from the planning department, yeah.
Yeah,
So they were in the whole Waldo Durgan thing with me. They know. So
Mhm.
okay, thanks.
Thanks, Lauren. Sean?
Am I unmuted, audible?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. Sean Lynn Jones, President, Brookline Green Space Alliance, and also a town meeting member from Precinct 1. I'll try to be brief, and I think one way to do that is to say everything that Arlene said, ditto. And there is a paper trail here. The Park and Rec Commission was involved with the permitting necessary for the punch bowl to operate on River Road. And a lot of the issues that Arlene raised a few minutes ago, she also mentioned then that this is parkland. It's subject to the jurisdiction of the commission, as well as the Parks and Open Space Division. Just a couple of points responding to what people have said. Green Space Alliance and Preservation Commission representation, in a way, has already been addressed, because I understand, and this could be confirmed since I think he's on this call, Hugh Madison has been appointed to the DAT as a neighborhood representative, but of course he's affiliated with the Green Space Alliance. Elton Elprin, I believe, who's a member of the Preservation Commission, also has been appointed to the DAT. You should confirm that with the planning board, but that's what they seem to vote at the last meeting they had on this particular project. Lauren asked what sort of zoning changes, or commented on the zoning changes. It came up, I know, in the discussion. My understanding is that this project in its current form would require at least one variance and at least one special permit, because it doesn't comply with the existing zoning. It would not require a zoning amendment to come before a town meeting. The Zoning Board of Appeals would be able to grant that variance and special permit. The final form of the project, of course, depends on what the DAT ultimately recommends and what the planning board then proposes to the ZBA and what the ZBA votes. So all of that is open to question. I won't repeat all the concerns about River Road, except to say, you know, it's important to enhance and protect this parkland to the full extent possible. And I hope that the Park and Recreation Commission will be very active in doing that. I will make 3 points that I made to the planning board very briefly. Number one, I haven't seen any shadow studies, but the shadow impact on the Emerald Necklace and the surrounding neighborhood will probably be significant given the height of the building, just eyeballing it. And that's something to be concerned about. Second, I think it's fair to say that the surrounding neighborhood, even not on the Emerald Necklace side, qualifies as an environmental justice neighborhood. It's, I think, a heat island. The trees are sparse, and that needs to be taken into account in the design. And to be quite frank, the landscape plans consisted of a few scattered trees around the building on the sidewalk. There wasn't much. It could be much better, I think, given the location. And third, the construction mitigation plan is going to be very important because this is right next to essentially a choke point in the Emerald Necklace, where Riverway Park is very narrow and pedestrians and cyclists have to go through on that pathway. I don't know how long the construction will take, but it will take longer than expected. You can bet on that. And whatever plan there is to mitigate the effects, we'll have to take into account this is a heavily traveled section of the Emerald Necklace, even if it is a very narrow one. So those are the things I said to the planning board. The chair said that the DAT would take those into account. I hope they will, and I hope the representative from the Park and Recreation Commission will make sure that they do, and I'll be trying to attend every one of those meetings that I can make it to. Thank you for listening this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. Jane has her hand up, and then Antonia, our former commissioner, has her hand up.
Commissioner. I just want to mention, we had a whole discussion when Mealy was talking about trees and the heat island effect, and especially in North Brookline. And it really is striking to see this plan, and even looking at the buildings, there's really no setbacks whatsoever. So when Sean talks about, trees, they're not going to be the same big shade trees. And my question to anybody who might know the answer to this is this really the design that's going forward, or are there going to be potentially negotiations around setbacks so that there can be true landscaping around that? They're basically using Riverway as their landscaping as opposed to actually creating any themselves and actually enhancing and complementing that. So I'm just curious, are there going to be setbacks?
I'm not sure about that, Jane, but I do know that, this is not the final design, and the whole point of the design advisory team is to provide feedback to the consultant team to, tweak and ensure that, the town feels comfortable with what is being proposed and will be built.
Okay. And I mean, what I understand, it's 19 parking spaces that are going to be in the Hilton. They're not providing any, and it's 19 total.
No, they are using some of the Hilton parking spaces, but they are also adding parking spaces within their footprint.
Okay.
So it's not going to be, I believe it's, let me see. And it's in the full presentation, you'll see, so it's, yes, 19 spaces they're adding within their new footprint, in addition to the Hilton space.
I see. And with EV stations, I hope.
I'm not sure about that. It doesn't show.
So those are all, good questions that might come up, but I do think the setbacks on either side just don't really seem to be anything that would even allow for them to do landscaping, which it feels like they're very much relying on us, but then they're also going to so overshadow it that they could actually kill what we have. So, it's a problem. So just wanted to say that. Thank you. And good luck, Michael. Thank you. Volunteering.
Oh, Antonia, before you, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say, but I would urge all the commissioners to go to these meetings. We have a lot to lose here. I think the buildings look so much larger than the hotel, and that to know that road is parkland to me is shocking. I should have remembered that. But anyway, so I think any of us who can go to these meetings and speak out up as the public would be great. And so, Michael, when you know when the meetings are, maybe you can let the whole commission know when it is, and because we don't always check the calendars. It would be really, really good for you to do that. Thanks.
Sure, I can keep everybody posted.
Thank you. Okay, Antonia, I said it, and then Teresa has her hand raised. So, Antonia, go ahead.
Give me a second, Antonia. I'll make you. I'm trying to find my. Okay, Antonia, go ahead.
You're muted, Antonia.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you again today. I wanted, I'm going to keep it brief because Jane touched upon the fact that this building, 154, I believe, micro units, and not providing any green space whatsoever is a real issue, just not for this building, but in, you know, as we move forward and how we develop housing, and not providing any landscape, appropriate landscape for our residents, I believe is terrible. But I wonder if this is going to mean that we renegotiate, or you renegotiate the terms with the Punch Bowl also, because that space is going to be needed for, you know, more movement. And do they get to have such a big area? I know they depend on that quite a bit. But it does feel quite private, and it's been a long time since they've had that access there. So that was another concern, just to consider, you know, is that part of the negotiation of giving back some of that space? And I'd love to see the documents that Arlene is mentioning, just to see the history of how that roadway got developed. The last thing that we want to see is just more traffic and service in the backside. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it's approached and how we negotiate. And then the other thing, I did attend the planning meeting, and they're doing a lot of arts and lights and things through the opening of the building. And it seems like that money should be pushed more towards the landscape than just dressing up a tunnelway. That was my feeling. But anyway, it'll be good to see, and I will be there for sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Antonia. Teresa, go ahead.
Yes, as we've been talking, I've been looking at the plans that are posted on the Brookline News article that I'm assuming are part of all of the publicly accessible plans that everyone's been referencing. But it does seem like they do have plans for tree planting in there. And it does seem like they are taking into consideration the need for at least, some landscaping in front of the building. So I don't think that the plans are completely devoid of thought around green space. And I just want to make just a small pitch in that it just seems like there's so many efforts in town to build more housing, and then every time it comes up, there's just so many arguments by people to stop those plans. And I just think if they're trying to build 150 micro units, which sounds like slightly more affordable housing than what's available right now in town, we should be trying to support them. I know we can improve their plans and try to build in more green space and make it a better plan, but overall, 150 units in this part of town sounds like a great idea when there's such a shortage of housing in town. So I just wanted to put a pitch in that, yes, we want it to be a green plan and well done, but we should also be trying to support housing and also local businesses, which is what we've done with the Punch Bowl for several years. I think that we've talked to that owner, and we have reissued their or supported their permit year after year. And they're doing a great service to this town by providing a really nice restaurant in a part of town that, could use some love. I live right down the street from there, and it's just been abandoned parking lots for the majority of time that I've lived here. So I think doing what we can to support those local businesses and housing plans is also a nice priority for us. And that's it.
Thank you, Teresa. Seeing no other hands, we will move to the next item, which is update on the current policy of organized sports review and vote. This was presented last meeting, as I recall, a draft. And so this will be presented again, and we will vote on it.
Yes, that's correct, and I can share that. And I had also sent you all, again, very late in the day today afternoon, revised language. So you, probably haven't had time to review that yet, but I can go through that right now. So again, just a quick recap on, what the current language is. Right now in the rules and regulations, it's like very brief and like very almost like there's a lot of vagueness in there. And then also reminding that the language and the physical signage in the parks about, that talks briefly about permits required for organized sports for social teams and leagues. And just again, like touching base on like the intent of this revision is to really define, what organized sports is, because, it can be really open to interpretation, and we're trying to really clarify that. And also, there's been a number of times like when there's questions about when is a permit needed, when it's not needed, like when is what does a casual play mean, and if some casual play would need a permit or not. And then also trying to clarify, the rights of a permit holder versus a non-permit holder when, both parties goes to the same space. And making sure also that the language that exists in rules and regulation is consistent with the physical signage at the parks. So with that, we presented, the proposed modification last month, and we got some great feedback from all of you, and we, incorporated that feedback into the proposed modification. So one of the feedback that we had received was kind of breaking out that big language into two parts, one into just like that talks about what the organized sports is, and what does that actually means? Like, what are the potential groups who would be participating in organized sports, and also just clarifying that the fact that like if it would require, like you would require a permit if there is uninterrupted and exclusive use of a field or facility, so essentially kind of clarifying that. And we separated out casual games in a separate item so that like the two of that can be broken down, and it's a little bit easy to digest. And there was some discussion around online group, online meetups. So we addressed that by saying that, any event that is publicly advertised, athletic activities, but we also clarified by saying that including but not limited to the use of flyers, signs, social media, or online promotions. And we also made this additional clarification that, the permit will be required regardless of, if you're a resident or non-resident. So essentially the point being here that, regardless of who you are, right? Like if you require uninterrupted and exclusive use, you need, to achieve a permit. And if a permit holder comes to a facility, then anyone who's going through casual play, needs to, give the field space or the outdoor space to the permit holder. So again, like any questions on that? Oh, Jane has her hand raised.
I did get a chance to read this before, and I actually thought how you defined organized sports was great, and it really was clarified it. The only thing I would change maybe is in B, and just to think about it, casual games or athletic activities such as spontaneous, and I would say pickup games. Matches just might get into, oh, it was just happened to be that we're playing, you know what I mean? That might just kind of be able to be twisted a little bit. So I just think spontaneous pickup games, etc.
Okay.
So that's just my comment.
Yeah,
and really take it or leave it, but I just think it matches just might be like, oh, we just all happen to be here together and we played a soccer match, type of thing. So
yeah, absolutely, we can remove that.
But I think it's great that this is really very clear, so.
Michael.
I agree. I think that the definition of organized sports is really well done. And this might be kind of nitpicky, but I was just wondering about, and maybe other people feel differently, the first example of casual where it says e.g., just including the word neighborhood to me is a little iffy. Like I feel like it kind of suggests people that live there, where it could be anybody stops by and has a casual game. Like I don't know if maybe the word neighborhood should be the first example, but that could be up to interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, we can simplify that by saying just kids playing ball, and that way, again, it could be residents or non-residents, neighborhood or not. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great
I think that could be good.
Yeah.
Actually, now that Michael said that, maybe it's something like parents and kids playing ball or catch might be the way to do that. Just to kind of.
Yeah.
Carol? You're on mute.
You're still muted, Carol.
I
Now
wanted
you're
to
not.
say that I disagree with Jane. I think that spontaneous matches should be in there. There's groups of kids or students who come from BU and take over Connivad Park or other parks around without a permit. And I think that spontaneous matches is the category that they fit into.
So just to clarify that, Carol, what we're saying is that casual games or athletic activities such as spontaneous matches, pickup games.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine the way it is.
Okay. And we're saying, just to clarify, that it do not require a permit.
Right.
Okay.
Claire, you're muted.
Millie, just to clarify, will you, based on the comments, what words are you going to change in this before we?
Based on the comments, I will be again, you let me know. Jane was supporting to remove the word matches, and Carol felt like it was okay. So again, we will make that update as you all are comfortable with. But the other change that we would do is remove the word neighborhood. So instead of, example, neighborhood kids playing, we would just say, example, kids playing ball, a parent playing catch with kids. So we will remove the word neighborhood. We could also, Jane, to your suggestion, to your point, we could just combine the kids playing ball with a parent playing catch.
Yeah,
something kids and parent playing together.
Yeah.
And remove, again, that word neighborhood.
So just because we're going to vote on this, so it's going to say, get rid of neighborhood and say kids and parents playing ball
or catch,
something like that.
Yes.
So say kids or parents playing ball or catch. And then I'm still, so we're voting on these words. I want to make sure it's not maybe this or maybe that. So we've got the exact words. And then there was the spontaneous, now I can't find it. There was discussion about
spontaneous matches.
Okay, such as spontaneous matches. Now was that going to be changed?
My thinking is spontaneous matches and pickup games sound like the same thing to me, in some ways. So I was just thinking pickup games
instead of spontaneous matches.
Instead of spontaneous match, I'm not hung up on it. I just feel like spontaneous matches kind of is what we're trying to avoid up above, because you could say all they do. How are we going to know if they advertised it on, for example, social media or in a group, right? We're not going to know that. So
instead of, you're going to say spontaneous pickup games?
I
you
would
just
say
want pickup?
spontaneous, I would, spontaneous pickup games or pickup games alone, but Carol has another idea, so.
Millie, do you want to put such as pickup game, such as, and just get rid of spontaneous matches
Yeah.
and so such as,
That was my suggestion, but if Carol thought that was okay.
and I think commissioners, speak up if you don't want Millie to get rid of spontaneous matches. Right now, we're discussing it, reading such as pickup games, e.g., blah, blah, blah. Okay, and I can't see everybody's hand. Nobody has their hands raised, so I'm assuming that's okay with the commissioners. Okay, so the changes from what we see on the screen is X out the word spontaneous games with as spontaneous matches. So it will read such as pickup games and then kids playing ball. I will say kids and parents playing ball or playing catch.
Mhm.
So that'll read kids and or
Yeah, it should be and or parents playing catch-up.
Is that okay? So that's what, so do I have a motion to kids and or parents playing catch or ball? Great.
So moved.
Carol, is that you, Carol?
Yes.
Carol moved that we accept this as wording. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jane seconds it. So, excuse me. If you will put down your screen, Millie, even everybody look at it, know what we're voting on, then I can see people. Thank you. I'm going to call on you as I see you on the screen. It's been moved and seconded to accept the words as Millie presented to us with a few changes we made and she marked on the written document she had in front of us. Okay, Michael.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
And I vote yes. And I didn't leave anybody else out, did I? Okay, great. So it was voted in unanimously to accept that wording. Thank you all. Now we're going to Recreation Department update. Tim.
Where'd I go here? Don't worry, it's short. All right. Connected to my CIP, so we'll just run through that. Here we are. All right, so just a general update. Only a few things to talk about. One, as usual, starting with our staffing updates, I'm happy to report that we have successfully hired our new director at the Sewell Early Education Center, Kimberly Lynch. Kim comes to us with decades plus worth of management experience when it comes to licensed childcare programs. So we are very, very excited to have Kim on board. She's actually going to be starting on Monday. So next week, there will be some crossover between herself and Brittany, which is wonderful. So we get acclimated to the center during summer camp and as they prepare for the next school year. So we're very excited to fill that position and welcome Kim to the team. I'm sure eventually she'll be in front of you all as well to give you the opportunity to welcome her and say hi yourselves. And I also want to say thank you to Connor Murphy. Connor is in the audience with us here tonight. Over the last couple months, Connor has served as our department's intern. He is a student up at the University of New Hampshire studying recreation management. He's been part of the department, kind of seeing the day-to-day of everything from what we do on the back end preparations for programs and events to being out in the field at said events, at the pool, in the water with participants, at the golf course, at Sewell, at every facility we have. Connor's going to be leaving us next Friday after 400 hours with us. So we wish him well, and we thank him for all the hard work. He's been a great addition to our team these past few months. We're going to miss him, and we hope to see him back with us eventually. Programming update, I just want to throw a highlight at you. As you would imagine, we are in full swing when it comes to summer programs. Summer camp started 2 weeks ago with our nature camp, and then our general summer camp started last week as well. Our registration numbers are very high this year, higher than last year, which is just wonderful. You see them on the screen there. I don't need to run through them. The two that I want to highlight, though, is Camp Kennedy. Camp Kennedy is our program that we work with the school department on. It's a complementary program to the summer school kids. So a large swath of kids or students attend their summer services and summer education programs. And then once those are done, we receive them and they get to enjoy their afternoons with us with a traditional camp experience. This year, we're just shy of 100 kids, which is an increase from last year, which is wonderful. So we're happy to see that partnership with the schools continue and the partnership continue to grow year over year. But registration number totally is wonderful, just shy of 3,000 registrations over the course of summer camp programs. So we have our general summer camps at certain sites sold out, many busting at the brim, and nature camp as well. So hats off to our program team and everything they're doing. It's been a great start to the summer, and we're going to blink and it's going to be over, as it always is. And not to rush the summer, but an announcement that programming for the fall, so September and beyond, does open next week. So when you're thinking about fall, thinking about the sports leagues, thinking about everything we do during the school year, registration for those programs will begin next Tuesday online. Outdoor pool feasibility study, something that kind of teed up during the CIP piece. Happy to report that the RFP and interview process has been completed. So we did accept four bids on the RFP for this feasibility study. And at the end of the day, we have chosen BH&A, the firm, to do the study for the town. All in all, we ended up interviewing 3 firms who put in a bid. The selection committee, along with myself, spent some time with each of those firms going through the same rounds of questions and getting to know them and their work and what they could bring to Brookline. And ultimately, at the end, BH&A rose to the top for their presentations in which they gave us, but also their experience. BH&A is responsible for many of the outdoor pools that we think about around us, Needham, Belmont, Newton. So they have a lot of local experience, a lot of New England experience, understanding the task when it comes to programming out a seasonal outdoor pool and what goes along with that. So very excited for that. We're looking to schedule our kickoff meeting soon, hopefully by the end of the month, with the principals over there to get that going. And then once that is done, the timeline with public meetings and the general timeline of the feasibility study will be determined and released. So based on their presentation, and again, this needs to be confirmed once we have our kickoff meeting, we're looking at an 8 to 10 month timeline for the feasibility study to be completed. So that's why we said this fiscal year in the spring, we anticipate having that done and BH&A in front of you all, giving that final presentation on their recommendations and their concepts and what they're able to find. And then just a thank you to the selection committee. The selection committee was myself, Teresa, our aquatics director, Amanda, Lauren, and Eliza Jonas, who's in the audience tonight. So Teresa, not to put you on the spot, or Lauren, I didn't know if you want to share any other thoughts on the process and how it went.
I would be happy to. I think it's important to stress just how excited we are by BH&A's presentation. They were above and beyond the best that we interviewed, as far as I'm concerned. They just had such a strong knowledge of what we're looking for. They seem like they really got the RFP and really spoke to, what we're looking for in terms of site location and all the other aspects of the feasibility study. So I'm really excited to see how it goes from here. And I think we're in really good hands with them.
Yes, I would agree with everything Teresa said. They were, I felt they were really, they really did their homework. They gave us a presentation and interview, which clearly they had put a ton of thought into. They're very familiar with how Brookline works. They have no illusions. Um, and brought up other points, that it was just it was a good process. I felt very good about the whole process, and I felt very, very good about our selection. So I am looking forward to what's going to come. Thank you, Tim, for putting this all together.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tim, should we, Elisa wanted to speak to the pool, so should we invite Elisa to join us?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you there?
Stop my screen just so we can see.
Alyssa?
Hold on, I might need to promote her. Sorry, give me just a second. Okay, Alyssa, sorry about that. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes, hi. God, it was interesting listening to this whole conversation today, and I really thank Sean and Arlene for bringing up what they said. And I hope people follow up on that. And I also just want to say that about Punch Bowl, I agree with Teresa that it adds to our community. It's outdoor open space, and I support that all the way. And I also want to say that I was impressed at everyone, all the firms that provided bids, but having worked on this for about 8 years now, I was so impressed at BH&A too, because they touched on so many of the issues that I've looked at over the years, and I think they're fantastic. So Carol, I just wanted to respond to your concern about the cost. I've looked at a lot of municipal pool construction costs, and 8 million is very realistic. Belmont would be like 7 million. Walpole was 5.6 million. It's a very reasonable amount. Needham is the only one that kind of was an outlier, but it was very, very difficult to build that particular pool. So I just want to say that from all the research I've done, that's a very reasonable amount. The main thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that there are a lot of state grants that we should be looking at. And I know that probably Tim is aware of a lot of them, but I want the commission to know, because I think it's also very important to get CIP and CPA funding to be structured in a way to make sure that we can get these grants. So the Parkland Acquisitions and Renovations Program, they give $425,000 grants. One of their priorities is water-based recreation, climate resilience. In general, for all of these grants, climate resilience and community resilience to climate change is one of the big priorities, and water-based recreation is one of those goals that they are interested in funding. And the town of Buckland received funds through that. But I was hoping, hey, we could use that for design along with some other small lump sum from the town, either CPA or CIP, to kind of split that amount. But it turns out you can't just do it for design. You have to do it for design and construction, and it requires that those funds be a reimbursement, and town meeting has to have approved the funds. So it's just, there's complicated timing to make sure that we can access that grant. There's also the Massachusetts Works Infrastructure Program. And while we can't really use that for the pool itself, we could probably use it for energy for the pool, especially if it's maybe solar or oh my gosh, in-ground.
Thermal.
Thermal, thank
Geothermal.
you. Or if we need roadways or parking, it funds all that. It does fund, and I don't know exactly what it is, which is pre-development costs, 100,000 to 500,000, which may be something that we can use even before we start anything like construction, but it does require at least 25% local contribution, which seems quite fair. And for the purposes of construction, they provide $1 to $5 million. So we could provide 25% and they could provide the rest. And again, they focus on climate resilience, sustainability, and so I just, Buckland, the town of Buckland, which has built their pool, they also use those funds. I think they got a lot of money for that. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that and that it has to match, it has to go, we have to be aware of all the restrictions with the CIP and how to fund things to make best use of those funds.
Thank
So
you.
that's what I wanted to mention.
I'm sure you'll communicate with Tim and make sure he knows all of those.
Oh, and I actually do have a question. Lauren said that she's going to have a lot of work with the pool. So I'm just curious, is the committee going to keep functioning, or are we done? What is the status of that?
We'll talk offline on that as we develop what that process is going to look like with BHNA.
Okay,
But there
great.
will
Thank you.
definitely have to be a committee, a design review committee
If we
or
get to
some
that point.
kind of committee
Right.
to work with the consultants. So I
Correct.
think Lauren wants to stay involved with that. So, but no one's been appointed to it yet, or it hasn't been set up.
Right. I just didn't know if our committee was continuing or our committee has done its work.
No, I
I
think we're
don't have an
done.
answer to that, but Tim will.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa. All right.
And thank you. Now you go on from the pool study.
Yes.
I've had
Oh,
my
I'm sorry,
hand
Carol.
raised. I just wanted to correct something that Elisa just said. I was not concerned that $8 million was too much. My concern was, did they take into account the geography of where the pool was going to be, where it could be more expensive than that? So that's all.
Oh, right. No, but what I just wanted to say was that in general, 8 million is very fair, which is surprising to me, given how much it costs to just renovate an athletic field. And only in Needham was it so complex that it was more than $8 or $9 million. All the others were 8 million or less, in fact, except, well, Newton is questionable.
Thank you.
All right. So an update on golf course drainage master plan. About 2 weeks ago, we hit pretty much a milestone of completion before our little punch list. And lucky for us, Mother Nature was listening and gave us our first test. So a week from today, a week ago, we had that significant rainfall. We recorded 2.7 inches of rain at the golf course. Traditionally, rain of that amount would shut us down for the rest of the week. But the next morning at 7 a.m. on time, we were open and good to go. And the golf course was usable. So the photos on there, the one on the left is Fourth Fairway. That is traditionally something that if you play on that course, you know is completely underwater and you can't walk on it. I was standing on it very proudly, nice and firm. And then on the right, just off the Fourth Fairway, is the creation of those new creeks to retain all the water that is coming off the course. So you can see that the water made its way in just as hoped. And again, the golf course was open, dry, and we had no disruption to play. So if you think you've seen Justin happy, you haven't. That morning, Justin was extremely happy, as we all were. And very pleased with the work. So hitting the punch list items now, finishing up that piece of the drainage work. And hopefully by this time next month, with my next update, we will be completely done. And that construction team will be moved off. So great news out of the golf course. Let's see. Last month, I mentioned that the pavilion at Tappan, which is the top floor of the gym facility that is housed between the pool and the high school, where it has multiple gyms for basketball as well as other sports, was under renovation. That happened very quickly, on time, and with no problem. So Tappan Pavilion construction is complete. That space is being used actively this summer by vendors as well as our staff, as you'll see on the picture on your screen. Very clean. Lines are clean. We don't have tape everywhere making new lines. So it's lined for tennis, it's lined for pickleball, singles tennis as well as double. And then the batting cages come down from the ceiling. So wonderful project, very quick, very easy, just the way we like it. So thanks to the schools and thanks to the building department for assistance on that. And then the last two, just some events, just a reminder, as we're in the summer, our summer concert series is off and running. We've had two wonderful concerts so far on the 1st and the 8th. We are alternating them this year once again at Emerson Gardens as well as Fisher Hill Park. So just so far the nights have been wonderful, even on the hot days. Plenty of shade and plenty of fun to be had. A big thanks to the Newberry Brookline across the street, Fisher Hill, for stepping up and being a premier sponsor, helping us this year. So we got 2 concerts that are done and we got 4 more to go. They're every Wednesday from here on out until August 5th. So hopefully you've partaken, or hopefully we'll see you at one very soon. And then Free Lesson Friday that we've been talking about, we mentioned it last month. This coming Friday, National Links Trust and the Outpost Foundation is partnering with our golf course to offer free golf lessons to anybody who's interested to register. Happy to report we have over 120 individuals registered right now for the program, which is wonderful. So on Friday from 5 to 7, the golf course in general will be shut down, and we'll be hosting this event. So we'll have our pros from our golf course, the pros from the country club will be coming down, as well as various from around the state that Justin's been able to recruit to give instruction to anybody and everybody who's interested in either refining their skills or trying it for the first time. So we look for, the weather looks great. So we're looking forward to a fun evening up at the golf course. And then lastly, as you saw prior, just a reminder, we'll do it every week or every month until it hits. Brookline Day, September 27th. But this time around, a big thank you and announcement that Beacon Bank has stepped up, originally Brookline Bank, but Beacon Bank has stepped up to provide funding to be the presenting sponsor for this event. So we are very thankful and very grateful to their generous support year after year. Brookline Bank has been with us since the beginning of Brookline Day over a decade ago. So we're happy to see and always thrilled to see their support continue. So September 27th, mark your calendars, and more info will be released as we have it. That's all I got.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you go back to the slide about the learning to play golf thing?
Yes, 1 second. Yes.
So I find this to be extremely impressive. This is part of the, I mean, we're one of 4 golf courses in the United States doing this?
Yeah, so National Links Trust is out of Washington, D.C. They
Right.
manage the municipal courses down there. We've had a relationship with them for about the last 8 to 10 months. We've been in touch with them just for the work that they're doing down there. And so when this opportunity came up, they gave us a call to see if we wanted
That's
to be
fabulous.
the New England chapter of this. So we obviously jumped on it. Yeah.
What is the age? Is it kids
Any
and
age.
adults? Any
Kids
age?
and adults. Yep.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
think this is fantastic. It's really a feather in our cap, in your cap. I mean, this is a very impressive thing. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Millie, I'll turn it to you.
Yes, so next up is going to be Parks and Open Space updates, where most of this is, just starting off with staffing update. We have a seasonal staff position open. We're still looking for our forestry supervisor, and the parks operation manager's position is open as well. So next, I want to just really briefly spend some time on, the status of some of our current CPA projects. And, you all are aware of the projects, but just wanted to let you know where things are at. So starting off with FY25, we have tree inventory and pruning and Lars Anderson Historic and Cultural Landscape Inventory as part of our project. So the tree inventory and pruning over the past several months, we've made like really great progress, and we have continued to work on things. We've done, over the last few months, additional tree pruning and planting at Walnut Hills Cemetery and Lars Anderson Park. So over the next few months, we hope to wrap up, and look at some of the hazardous removal just to ensure safety of the visitors within those two spaces. And if the funding allows, any remaining funding allows, like do additional planting. Similar to that, like as you all know, I gave an update on this last month. Our consultant has been working really hard to finalize the cultural landscape report, and they're working on the final phase of that, which includes looking at the treatment plan for high-level treatment plan for some of the elements within the park. Then for FY26, under historic preservation, we have two projects, the Foster Fence at Old Burying Ground and Minnow Rose Garden trellis renovation. We're hoping to, get the bids out for the Foster Fence sometime in fall, and for the Rose Garden, we're reviewing the timeline. And for both of these projects, something to think about is that, these are historic elements and we don't have drawings associated with that. So our staff, has been working really hard, collaborating with our engineering staff, who's the one who really helps with the bidding and construction projects, to figure out how to, get the bids. So we have a great game plan right now, and we're ready to launch Foster Fence, and we'll be following shortly for the trellis. Then for FY26, we have a whole host of projects. So first off, Lars Anderson Ice Rink design and design review process, as you all know, is ongoing right now. We've had one public review process, and the next one is going to be in late July. So that is ongoing. Coolidge Playground and Tennis Court and Ridley Tennis Court design, we're hoping to kick that off sometime in fall. Community Garden at Elliott Center is ongoing. So we hope to start installation by end of July, and open up the garden for fall in September. Then we have few invasive species management projects here. One at River Ray Park, Hulse Pond, and Deep Lake Lihor. All of those three projects are being led by sustainability and natural resources. So River Ray Park is ongoing. Hulse Pond is also ongoing. We received an NOI on Hulse Pond from Conservation Commission, which is great. And Deep Lake Lihor will be starting soon as well, within the next couple of weeks. Then as part of like our FY26 CPA project, we also have tree inventory and tree planting. So that work is ongoing as well. And Amory Woods Boardwalk design and construction, we are absolutely thankful for this funding, because as part of the Hulse Pond renovation, because of the CPA funding, we were able to make the boardwalk within Amory Woods, renovate that and get it out of the floodplain. So most of you hopefully have seen that and been there. And in addition to the boardwalk, we've also looked at restoration project. So while much of the boardwalk construction is done, as next part of that project, we will be looking into additional restoration and any invasive species management within Amory Woods. And then for FY27, we have three projects under historic preservation. We have Old Burying Ground to restoration, which will look at restoring, the final part of the tombs that are really structurally getting very unstable and unsafe. So we're hoping that, we received approval from town meeting on all of these projects, and we hope to kick that off and get it out to bid later in this fall. And for open space and recreation, we have tree inventory and planting, which again, it takes a little bit of time for us to get the final MOUs for the CPA funding. And so once that kicks off, we'll get that started. And the final project we have for FY27 is Lars Anderson Park, green infrastructure and drainage design. So again, like this has not started yet, but we will look into the timelines of other projects and staff capacity and figure out when we will kick that off. And finally, a few events on our end. Again, reminder that Hallspawn Sanctuary reopening celebration is tomorrow for PM to 6 p.m. We'll do a small ribbon cutting. There is going to be a small speaking program, and there will be some some light family activities and refreshments. So I know it's going to be a hot one tomorrow. So hopefully we'll stay in shade, and luckily Hallspawn has a lot of shade. So hopefully that will help us cool us down. A few other design review meetings that's coming up for us is the Lars Anderson Park Ice Rink design review. That will be July 30th, 6 p.m. via Zoom. And finally, the next community meeting for the Cultural Landscape Report will be sometime in September. We're looking at calendars and trying to nail down a date, which I will share next month. Finally, last one, Stewardship Sundays are still ongoing, which has been a great success. It's been, great to see community participation in that. So the next one is going to be in July 26th. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Millie. So the next thing on the list is boards and committee updates. I'm not going to give a CPA update because Millie just did a great job on reviewing all that. Does anyone else have something to report? I know I attended the park, the skating rink, as did Debbie, and so I urge all commissioners to come to the meetings just to give their insight and their comments. And so the next skating rink meeting will be July 30th, as Millie said. Any other commissioners? I saw Lauren had her hand.
Maybe Millie can, poor Millie, she's had a lot of talking to do tonight, but maybe she can speak to this as well. I know there's an ongoing, I'm on the Pierce Building Committee, and there's been this issue with a particular, actually 2 pieces of equipment, I believe. And it seems that they have found something, right, Millie? Because Helen said she spoke to you.
Sorry, found something?
About that play structure in the Pierce, the Pierce playground that was not rated for the right age or something.
I'm
a little bit lost on the details, to be honest.
Yeah, so one of the play equipments there, again, like this was based on the feedback,
Right.
That was given during the design review process, like where the teachers had wanted to ensure that there is some
Right.
challenge for the older kids. So there was a play equipment specifically that was 5 to 12. And most of the students who are using that space is, pre-K
Right.
and K. So following the Driscoll challenges, we had been asked to review that 5 to 12 equipment, and from age limit lens and also from accessibility lens. There was also a meeting held with Sarah Kaplan, the town's ADA coordinator. So based on that, the design team went back and proposed a different play equipment. So essentially that's what it is. And the other part that the dean had been reviewing was shade, again following up on Driscoll.
The Driscoll thing.
The project did carry one shade sail. The concern was that one is not going to be sufficient.
Correct.
So as a process of that, the project will now be adding, I believe, one more shade sail. So essentially, there will be more shade
More
sails to
shade.
ensure that the playground will be well shaded.
Thank you. I just thought you could add a level of detail. I couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also just so that the other commissioners understand, the Pierce project has the old, the Pierce playground that's currently across the street. They're not going to have a bridge. They're going to have a like a bumped up crosswalk. That was sort of decided before I joined the committee. And so that's, so to speak, off-site, right? That's the current playground they have that's being updated, but it's the current space. The playground in question is that it is on site, that is, right outside the door of the school, is a playground for pre-K and K. And that's where this concern with the structure happened. So the Pierce School is going to have these two playgrounds, one that's very close to the school for the littlest kids, and then, the other playground. Something that I have found very interesting, I don't know, I think it has interesting implications for, pedagogical reasons, is all of the spaces in the school that deal with specials being gym, art, and music, and then the playground, are all on the ground floor. So, which is something I haven't seen in another school. The FRR school, that's not the case. The Driscoll school, that's not the case. So I think that's, it might, I'm not sure how much rec had to do with that. Like I said, I replaced Jim on the committee, but having, all recreation facilities, well, I shouldn't say all recreation facilities, but like the gyms and like music and art specials on the same floor, on the ground floor, I think is an interesting concept, and it'll be interesting to see how that affects the school day, just getting from place to place. Anyway, so those meetings are ongoing. I've been going. Other than this playground equipment thing, it's been pretty smooth sailing so far.
Thank you, Lauren. Any other? Hearing none, I think, Teresa, did you want to say something? This is Teresa's last meeting. I didn't know if you were going to say
Yeah.
goodbye, or we had a nice lunch for Teresa, which two of the commissioners couldn't come. We got to say goodbye, and so we can publicly, since this is being recorded, we can thank Teresa for 5 terrific years. And
Yeah, I'm happy to just quickly say thank you to everybody. Thank you for serving alongside me for the past 5 years. I mentioned this earlier, but I joined the commission when my 3rd son was just a couple months old, and he's now getting ready to go to kindergarten. So it's been quite some time that I've been part of this. And I also have 2 additional children that I've added to the roster. So it's, yeah, you guys have been along for that whole ride. But I didn't share this earlier. I do just want to note that I joined the commission when I'd only lived in town about 1.5 years, and I was also a renter at the time. So I feel very lucky that I got that appointment, because I know it's a competitive process to get on here, and I'm just thankful that, whoever it was on the select board that pushed for me made that possible, because I think it's really nice to be able to have a whole range of opinions and voices on our commission, and we should continue to push for that going forward. So thank you for letting me be part of it. And final thing I'll say is just tremendous credit to everybody that's on the park staff and the rec staff. They do such fantastic work. Amanda, I know you're joining our call in the background, but also Jake, Tim, Millie, and then Alexandra, obviously. You just do such fantastic work. So thank you for everything you do for our town.
Thank you.
We will miss you.
Thank you.
I will miss you all too.
Thank you, Teresa.
Teresa.
so, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Lauren moved. Do we have a second?
I'm very hungry.
Me too. A second to the motion to adjourn. Come on. Oh, Carol, you have to say it because it's being recorded. So you got to unmute yourself.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna call the roll very quickly and thank you for, this has been a very productive but long meeting. So thank you for your patience. Thanks for the people who stuck around. Okay, Michael,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Thank you all. Good night.
Good
and
night.
Good job. Good
Night.
night,
Thank you,
Rory.
everyone.
Thanks for being with us.
Of course, I'm hot, but nice to see everyone.
Thank you.
Sleep well.
Bye. Have a good
Good
night.
travels, Teresa.
Bye.
Bye, Teresa.